We will now have the national anthem. Thank you, Gambia Police Band. You may be seated. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, Honorable Cabinet Ministers, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, esteemed political party leaders, venerable religious leaders, development partners, service chiefs, members of the National Preparatory Committee, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocol duly and respectfully observed. I am John Charles Njai. I will be your moderator for today's deliberations on the theme for our national dialogue, our collective responsibility in preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources. The program today goes thus. We will open with Muslim and Christian prayers. After that, I will do the welcome remarks, and we will welcome His Excellency the President to do the opening remarks, and then we will take reflections from political party leaders here present, and then we would have a summary of all the deliberations being given by our rapporteur for today. I will now call on the Imam Ratib to lead us in Muslim prayer, followed by the representative of the chairman of the Gambia Christian Council to do the Christian prayers. Imam Ratib.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. اللهم يا من لا تدرك الأبصار بصوت قدير ولما دخلوا على يوسف آوى إليه أبويه قالوا ادخلوا مصر إن شاء الله آمنين ورفع أبويه وقروا له سجدا وقال يا أبت هذا تأويل رؤياي من قبل قد جاء الله ربي حقا وقد أحسن بي أصعدني من السجن وجاء بكم من البدو من بعد أن استوصيت بيني وبين إخوتي إن ربي لطيف خبير لطيف لما يشاء إنه هو العليم الخبير. ألم تر أن الله أنزل من السماء ماء فتصبح مدرة فسارا إن الله لطيف خبير. يا بني لا تكن من خردل فتكن في صخرة أو في صخرة أو في البيات بها الله إن الله لطيف خبير. واذكر ما يتلى في بيوتكن من آيات الله والحكمة إن الله كان لطيفا خبيرا. الله لطيف بعباده يرزق من يشاء وهو القوي العزيز. الله يعلم من خلقه وهو اللطيف الخبير. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها لعلكم تهتدون. ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر وأولئك هم المفلحون. إنما المؤمنون إخوة فاصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون. اللهم اجعل بلادنا غامبيا بلدا آمنا مطمئنا يأتي رزقا رغدا من كل مكان ونجنا من كل بلاء وقلاء وطاعون وسنن ووباء. طيب من جميع ذلك بلادنا خاصة بلاد المسلمين عامة وبالحق أنزلنا وبالحق نزل قوله الحق وله الملك. ورحمة لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. jërëgeen jëf ñu ngi ndokkeel ñëpp ci award bi nga xam ne bi Peace Award bi nga xam ne bi Gambia am nañ ko jaarale ko ci président Adama Barrow. jàmm jooju ñu yàlla may nag nañ continuer ñun ñëpp ñoo bokk ndey ak baay buñ utee buñ xëccoo buñ lifin nañ dimbalante rek insha allah ku ne yàlla dina la jox sa cër. yal na yàlla tere réew mi yëpp ñu nekk ci biir ak ñu ci biti yëpp mboolem parti yeeg ñëpp yal na yàlla def xol yëpp ñu ànd nekk benn liggéeyal réew mi liggéeyal suñu askan. yal na yàlla dimbale njaboot gi yar leen ñu jub te jàng te yaru te déggal kilifa yi mag ñi digal ndaw ñi itam di yaram di topp di mag ñi. yal na yàlla saxal jàmm ci réew mi ak ci àddina bi yëpp darajaay nabil Mustafa. wassalaamu aleykum wa rahmatullah. maa ngi nag suma mbokki chrétien ki fi teew si ci ñoom ñun ñoo bokk liggéey bi alhamdulillah ñëpp bokk nekk ci jàmm. wassalaamu aleykum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you, Ya Imam. We now welcome the representative of the chairman of the Gambia Christian Council to do the Christian prayer.
Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, we are gathered as a nation before you again today, recognizing that without you we are nothing, but with you we can do all things. We celebrate the goodness that you give us as the peoples of the Gambia and as the nation that enjoy the benefit of peace, harmony, and prosperity. Mighty God, we are gathered today from different political parties. We are gathered under the leadership of your servant, Mr. Adama Barrow. We do so, Father, recognizing that you are the Father of all humanity. And Father, in your home, you bring people together. And as you do that today, Father, we recognize your presence here with us, so that under his leadership we will be able to come together and remember that even though we come from different perspectives and different point of view, we will do so having one objective in mind: the Gambia, our homeland. Mighty God, we ask, O God, that as we continue to reflect on our national anthem and the ideas that are put before us so that we can work together, may we do so to liberate people from kind of slavery ideologies that puts us backward. Father, help us to liberate people from ideologies that would not put our allegiance to the interests of the nation. Father, we ask today that you will help us to work together. Even though we will come with our interests, may we put our selfish ambitions aside and put the nation ahead of us. As we do so, may we remember not only to tolerate one another, but to respect one another's viewpoint. Not only to respect, but to revere out of love for you, God, and out of love for one another. We pray, oh God, that Father, as we work together and as we speak in freedom and as we speak in honesty, as we speak in truth, we will do so recognizing the need to safeguard the integrity of one another. Father, we pray that as we come together, we may recognize that, Lord, as we do so, we will be doing so for the interest of posterity, for our children and our children's children. So a day like today is a day we will celebrate, that we can come from wherever we are, from whatever ideas we have, and put those things aside and look at the Gambia, and look at the ways we can put our efforts, our resources, our ideologies together and move this nation forward. So Lord, in such gatherings, we do not permit evil intentions. In such gatherings, we do not permit selfish ambitions. In such gatherings, we do not permit any demonic activities, witchcraft, all those things that would work against the progress of our nation. We only permit the blessing of God. We only allow, oh God, you to be the director of this program, and you alone, your name be praised and glorified, so that we would go back and remember that as Jesus has taught us, in all our doing, love God with all our hearts, with all our mind, with all our soul, and with all our strength. And through that, we can love our neighbors as ourselves. But Father, we go one step further. Jesus has taught us that we must love one another as he has loved us, laying down his life for us. May we as Gambians today learn, as we come together from wherever we come from, to lay down our lives for this nation, to lay down our lives for the progress of this nation, so that when we talk, we do not talk self. When we talk together as one. When we talk together as brothers and sisters at the table of the same family, the nation, the Gambia. For we know we have one God. He is called the God of nations, but he is to the Gambia ever true. So Father, we sit under his blessings today and declare this program under his blessing a success, a prosperity, a harmonious one, a peaceful one, and one that will take us forward. In the name of Jesus Christ we pray, the name above every other name. Amen.
Amen and amen to all the prayers. Your Excellency, I stand on existing protocols. Let me begin my welcome remarks by extending the heartfelt gratitude on behalf of the Gambian people to you, for you in initiating such a series of dialogue sessions under the banner of this relevant theme, our collective responsibility in preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources. Indeed, this dialogue is timely and greatly needed. Let me pause here and address the critics that have asked, why now? I ask you, why not now? Why not now when the smiling coast has lost its smile because of social divisions and fragmentations? Why not now when our sub-region is in disarray and political chaos. Why not now, when we are at the verge of celebrating 59 years of nationhood? Your Excellency, you're setting up the National Preparatory Committee made up of diverse Gambians from different walks of life, mostly from the non-state actors, demonstrates your commitment to ensuring that the national dialogue is not only inclusive, but fully participatory. Let me tell Gambia that when we were invited to be part of the National Preparatory Committee, and we had our first inaugural meeting under the leadership of the Chief of Staff and the coordination of the Director of Press and Public Relations, we were allowed space to speak our minds, to deliberate on issues. Nothing was dictated to us. We met and our views were respected and adopted. And on every step of this journey, we have been fully consulted. That means that this process was not political, this process was consultative, this process was Gambia. And thank you, Chief of Staff and Director of Press, for giving that leadership, and His Excellency for opening the space for us to participate. Let me thank the National Preparatory Committee for their commitment, their diligence, and their labor of love in making all this happen, and the processes in the next coming days. It has been a phenomenal partnership between the government and a well-represented civil society. The Smiling Coast has lost its pleasant smile, for our land cries out as innocent blood has been shed over time. Our women die in labor. We bash and malign each other because of our diversity. Our young people continue to lose hope and embark on the suicidal journeys in the name of searching for greener pastures. Women are treated unfairly by us, the men. Rape and other crimes plague us. Victims of past human rights violations still have their tears not wiped away. This picture indeed may be bleak, but today we can decide under this forward-thinking theme to put the blame game aside and give way to our collective responsibility in preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources. Today we gather on this sacred ground of the seat of power. We come together from diverse political persuasions, different faiths and ethnic groupings, from far and near, manifesting in real time the phrase in our national anthem, joining our diverse people and proving our brotherhood and our sisterhood. This coming together to have an open discourse on what affects us as a nation, in spite of our differences, presents us a unique opportunity for togetherness in forging a way forward for our beloved motherland. And it also gives us the much needed hope as citizens. It also presents us with the prospect of being an example of political maturity and acceptance in our sub-region, therefore inspiring hope and a new lease of life to a region that is on democratic life support. The ball is in our court, and I am confident that the invitation from His Excellency the President and the acceptance and presence of our valued political leaders demonstrates our willingness as a people, our love for country, and our commitment to partnership for Gambia's progress. We will hear from you today. We will respect your opinions, appreciate your diverse perspectives, and glean from your wisdom. The nation is ready for this. Posterity beckons for greater and faster progress, for in togetherness we will surely move faster. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in closing, my welcoming remarks I humbly submit for the approval of all political leaders and the nation at large, that from today we bury the tag opposition parties, for I really don't understand who is opposing who or what. Holding divergent perspectives does not have to translate to opposition, but rather a complementary partnership. Men and women perceive life differently, but in the home, they are husband and wife, a team, a partnership for the good of all. Political leaders, see yourselves as partners for national progress. It may just be the right time to say that in the Gambia from today, we do not have opposition parties, but rather partner parties. Let us put the capital S back on the smiling coast. Let us be the shining star of democracy and a beacon of hope to other nations. Let us today allow little Gambia to shine forth. With this, I thank you for your kind attention. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to welcome our host, His Excellency, the President of the Republic, to give the opening remarks. Your Excellency.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that very important opening remarks. Your Excellency, the Vice President, former Vice Presidents present, Honorable Cabinet Ministers, Honorable National Assembly members, leaders and representatives of political parties, representatives of institutions and organizations, fellow Gambians, and friends of the Gambia. I think I stand to be corrected because we have many experienced politicians in this House. But I think this is the first time in the history of our country where such a very formal meeting between all political parties is happening. Maybe I stand to be corrected. I personally welcome you to the first of a series of national consultative dialogue forums organized to precede the formal launch of the National Dialogue Day initiative. I established a National Dialogue Preparatory Committee comprising representatives from a cross-section of institutions and organizations in the country to coordinate the activities leading to a national dialogue forum. A key objective for this consultative meeting is to build consensus on holding and institutionalizing a national dialogue day, as recommended at the fourth public forum held last year as part of the 58th Independence Day anniversary celebrations. As we look forward to celebrating the 59th anniversary of nationhood shortly, I have directed the committee to work on this National Consultative Forum to encourage and stimulate reflection and dialogue on selected national issues to promote, protect, and nurture peace and stability in our democracy. You may have realized that I have continually called upon my colleagues and fellow Gambians to come together and work in the best interests of the country we dearly love. It is every citizen's responsibility to contribute towards our overall security, peace, and stability, be it in an official or private capacity, as public servants or bona fide citizens. My government holds the view that we should always try to forge national consensus on national issues that generate divergent views. Such divergence must not result in enmity or disunity. Instead, it should be tapped into as a source of strength for us to tolerate, appreciate, and empathize with one another. In this way, all citizens would have the opportunity to contribute to sustaining peace and stability nationwide. Fellow Gambians and colleagues, it is absolutely necessary for us to come to terms with our collective responsibility to work together in the interest of our dear motherland and her people. This is the reason for strengthening our institutions, enforcing the laws of the land, and developing policies to guide our relationships. We are a decent people and a nation bound by destiny to live and work together. It must not surprise anyone, therefore, that the theme for this year's Independence Day anniversary celebration is a call for us to respond to our collective responsibility of preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources. The task is for us as political leaders, stakeholders, and citizens to find ways and means of positively translating this broad theme into action. As leaders and public opinion influencers, we have a big stake in the nation. Thus, we also have the huge responsibility of striving to maintain peace and stability. Huge as it may be, we can achieve this by consciously avoiding and diffusing political or social tension through our public engagements with the people. Within both the public and private space, we occupy quite frequently. Moving forward, I call on all citizens who can do so to actively participate in the upcoming national dialogue, with a view to reinforcing the social cohesion and tolerance that exists in our society. The thematic discussions are proposed to cover the political environment, religious tolerance, ethnic diversity, sovereignty, security, safeguarding the media and democratic space, irregular migration, and empowerment of our youth. Excellencies, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, considering the important thematic areas identified for discussion ahead of the public forum for national dialogue. I must emphasize that it is our collective responsibility to preserve the nation as a people or fall together, safeguard the state or face instability, and secure our resources or live with a weak economy. We live in a world of uncertainty, instability, and insecurity. So we must act collectively and resolutely ahead of any potential unrest or calamity. We are blessed in the Gambia with positive social norms and values that can always bring us together and help us to preserve our warmth and brand as the smiling coast of Africa. With these remarks, I invite you all to objectively reflect on the theme and sincerely share your thoughts to enrich the discussions and positively influence the outcome of the deliberations. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Since there has been some misunderstanding, I have had numerous calls concerning the dialogue and the days and all that. Let me, as a member of the preparatory committee, explain what is going to happen over this week. Today we have the political leaders dialogue. The leaders of political parties are here to talk on the theme, give their opinions and their perspectives on the theme, and the whole idea of having institutionalization of our national dialogue. They would have 5 minutes each to make a presentation. And during this time, if you as a leader or representative of a political party have something written, please immediately after this dialogue, please hand it over to our rapporteur there, Dr. Nana Gray Johnson. He's our rapporteur, because we do not want this to be a talk shop. We want actionable points to come out of this so that we as citizens can monitor and collectively participate in the progress of our nation. So we have the political dialogue today. On Wednesday, His Excellency has talked about the 6 thematic groups. On Wednesday, we are going to have 6 simultaneous thematic working groups at the OIC. 6 groups will be meeting at the same time to be able to get in depth into the theme, look at the issues surrounding the theme, and come up with 5 resolutions that as a group of experts, a group of stakeholders, as a group would identify that this is what we want for our nation over the next year. 5 resolutions that would be workable, whether it's policy development, whether it's legal reforms, whatever the group decides is what we will now present on Friday to the larger public, and that will be about 500 people that will be together at the OIC, the Sadauda Conference Center, to now look at the resolutions and validate the resolutions and accept the resolutions as a nation. One of the things that was very instructive for me during our meetings is when the Chief of Staff said that we don't want this to just be a dialogue and we forget about it. We must be able to measure it. We must be able to monitor it. How are we going to monitor this? And this is where civil society, the media, and all of us as a nation will have to task ourselves to participate in this process, to ensure that what we decide after Friday, we will implement. throughout this year, so that by 2025, when we meet, we will be able to hit our chest and say, for the Gambia, our homeland, we have been able to achieve this and this and this. So it is not a talk shop, because the government is committed, civil society is committed, the political leaders are committed, and the Gambia is committed to this process. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will open the floor. Every airline, every flight has a pilot. And His Excellency and the National Preparatory Committee has made me the pilot. And if we have to get to our destination safely, we need to have ground rules. So I'm going to have my timer, and you have a maximum of 5 minutes. We know politicians and teachers. I'm not going to continue. I'll stop there. So I have my timer, and you will have to come forward here, because the cameras want to see you. So if you have something to say, please, you will raise up your hand. I will call you. For the sake of observing proper protocol, we want to open the floor to political party leaders first to give their take on the theme and deliberate on the theme, their thoughts, their opinions, their perspectives, and we will take it there one after the other. So if you want to please give a contribution, let me see your hand. Then we want the political party leaders first. Okay, so come, sir. Come, you're welcome. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. His Excellency the President of the Republic of the Gambia, President Barrow. His Excellency the Vice President, Permanent Secretaries, Service Chiefs here present, political leaders, the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and all other protocols duly observed. I'm stepping in here for my party leader, Honorable Fabakary Tombong Jatta, who doubles as the chairman and party leader of APRC, who is also in another function. That's why he was not able to be here. So I'm speaking on his behalf. This statement is from Honorable Fabakary Tombong Jatta, party leader of APRC. The team, our collective responsibility for preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources is thus as follows. I extend my sincere gratitude to His Excellency President Barrow for his initiative in convening and hosting this special national consultative meeting, which marks the beginning of a subsequent national dialogues exercise focused on preserving our nation, safeguarding the Gambian state, and securing our resources. I am deeply honored to have been invited as a stakeholder to participate in this session. And I commend all political party leaders and stakeholders who have been invited to engage in this preliminary discussion. As the representative and party leader of APRC party, recognized as one of the principal stakeholders in this process, I am humbled by the trust and recognition extended to us by the President. The fundamental points outlined for deliberation reflects the President and his government's aspiration for sustainable political stability, religious tolerance, social cohesion, ethnic diversity, national unity, commitment to the state's sovereignty, and securing both our material and human resources for generations to come. Each of these sub-topics presents a wide array of ideas and proposals that cannot be thoroughly explored within the limited time allocated for discussion. Nevertheless, as a politician and leader of APRC party, I firmly believe that the Gambia, since independence, has been blessed with conducive characteristics, perhaps due to our compact size and cultural diversity, which have settled us from many of the contemporary geopolitical crises playing around the third world nations. I strongly believe that since our independence, our politics has been anchored in sustainable peace and stability, and commemorate religious tolerance and a healthy ethnic diversity that fosters values such as intermarriage and peaceful coexistence. Mr. President, distinguished ladies, stakeholders, please allow me at this juncture to send my profound gratitude to the pioneers of this cause, the likes of late J.C. Faye, Edward Small, late Gabaja Humpa, Sir Fariman Singate, MC Cham, late Sadada Kairaba Jawara, and the list continues for this visionary foresight to fight for the cause of sovereignty state with ideas, strategies, and not with the use of force. Furthermore, as a political stakeholder, I will call on my fellow political players, both here and in the diaspora, to nurture the excellent spirit that has crafted the way for a sovereign state and a nation we all proudly call the Gambia, our homeland. I am with the strong conviction that as patriots and nationalists, it should be our collective responsibility in maintaining the strong foundation and utilize our God-given faculties to create, innovate, and participate in the productive activities in upholding this brilliant theme, our collective responsibility of preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources. As Gambians, we can do this by responsibly using the media, our political platforms, in our various capacities as opinion leaders, religious leaders, traditional leaders, chiefs, civil society organization heads, and through sincere and faithful participation in the upcoming national dialogue. Thus, we could be able to manifest the true meaning of our Independence Day celebration with the wordings, "For the Gambia, our homeland, we strive and work and pray." Distinguished participants, fellow political leaders, and the entire Gambia, I believe this theme could have come at a later time than this crucial and critical political and economic atmosphere we are currently faced with as a world, sub-region, and a nation. However, with time constraint in mind, I would like to extend my gratitude to every participant in this national endeavor, and I thank His Excellency President Adam Barrow and his government for facilitating this effort, and above all, I wish the best of those entrusted with the finding of the right solution to address this crucial issue. I hope this verse meets our expectation, the subject, our collective responsibility for preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources. Thank you all for your kind attention. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any other from PPP? Yes, sir, come, please. Okay. All right. Sorry, can I have a member of the preparatory committee? One of you, please come forward. So if you want to speak, please, if you can raise your hand so that we can get the order. We do not just want to follow the list because it's voluntary for you to contribute. So the order would be determined by you. So please raise your hand, and Mr. Barrow will just write the order. Okay, just please raise up your hands. He will write the order. He will write down the order in which you will be coming. So he will just write down the names, the order in which you will come, and I will announce as you give your names. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, the Vice President, my greetings to all party leaders, my special greetings to the former Vice Presidents, Honorable Bibi Dabo and Fatoumata Tambajang, distinguished delegates, all protocols duly observed. We thank the PPP, thank the President for the invitation given to us to attend such an important historic occasion. PPP is represented by our National President, Aji Duta Kamaso, and our National Mobilizer, Uncle Sanusi Toure, and myself. Mr. President or the Chairman, this meeting is long overdue, but it's better late than never. We must be thankful for the relative peace that we enjoy in a region beset by political instability. Therefore, we must thank ourselves and the leaders for that protection. It's our collective responsibility to preserve, maintain, and protect that peace. While Gambians have the ultimate responsibility, the government must be seen to act impartially at all levels and at all times, including resource allocation, employment, etc. Civic education must be encouraged. Security of life and property be enhanced, while the security sector reform must be expedited. Our peace is threatened, Mr. President. If we have difficulty in having food on our tables, we have a problem. There is a food insecurity, unaffordable basic commodities, petty thefts, corruption, unaffordable goods and services, high unemployment. Therefore, PPP thought it wise that some of the few priority areas that must be mentioned include investment, a premium investment in agriculture, horticulture, fisheries, and in the youth, and also assist the inter-party committee for much dialogue among parties. The Gambia government, the PP Gambia has gone through a lot of changes for better. From 2017 to date, we have seen the freedom we enjoy. Our National Assembly is functioning as we expected it, at least free of harassment, and the independent judiciary is also functioning as we expected. There is freedom of expression. So these are areas that cannot be overlooked. They are highly primed for Gambians to acknowledge the achievement we have since 2017. Mr. President, I will be very brief, but also our freedom also we must closely look and watch close in our closest neighbor, Senegal. Despite the fact this is not a forum for that, we are interrelated, we are together as one people. While as a government, you have limitations, and as a people, we have our limitations. They are a sovereign country. We must be careful how we attend to that, but also we should not let Senegal, if anything that we can do to talk to anyone that can temper the temperature, that will be helpful to Senegal. We should not sit down and see challenges, face them. Eventually, we will feel it here. Whatever the government is doing, that's at their level. But it's a sovereign country. We are a sovereign country. But we believe that the president, our president, has close personal relationship with the president of Senegal. We believe that with telephone call, something can happen. If not, we as a collective responsibility of other parties, president can call us as a dialogue and see what we can do. First, as neighbor, as family, and as friends. This is my thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Please, when you come, can you please introduce yourself and your party? Then, and then if you have a write-up, as I said, please leave it with me so that I can hand it over to the rapporteur. We now call Honorable Ahmad Ba from the NRP.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. President and Vice President, party leaders, members of cabinet colleagues, parliamentarians, members of political parties, members of the press, and all those here present, including the Chief of Staff, the Director of Press, Director of Protocol, Security, and all other protocol respectfully observed. Mr. President, I want to remind this gathering that this is not the Lancaster House talks that was led by politicians to work for the independence of the Gambia. These are talks that are meant for us to discuss and chart the way forward to better our democracy and to see how we can improve on the livelihood of the Gambian people. And we must also appreciate it is a very difficult task. Political dialogue is not easy anywhere in the world. I have witnessed it. I'm one of those who led the ECOWAS parliamentarians and ECOWAS commission members to the political dialogue in Lomé. And we've witnessed the political dialogue in Nairobi that led to the new constitution. We've seen what happened in Senegal from the 80s, from the Abdou Diouf to the Wadas, how they worked on their electoral process through political dialogue. We've seen political dialogue in many parts of Africa and many parts of the world. If anybody thinks that this journey is an easy journey, you are making a mistake. In a political dialogue, we must give and take. We must accept the reality that there is a need to address the issues that divide us, to address the issues that make differences in the way we live and the way we work for the betterment of our country. So it is not an easy journey. Let's all be prepared for that journey. And therefore, on that note, before I proceed, I must congratulate the President of the Republic for accepting a political dialogue to better our polity in the country. I congratulate you, Mr. President, for that visionary idea and for taking up the bull by the horn to call on all political parties to come and sit down and discuss and chart the way forward. On that note, Mr. President, in a gathering like this, I always feel nostalgic. When I see my colleagues sitting down next to me and I fail to see the likes of Omar Jallo, Mr. Femi Peters, Lamin Diba and others, I remembered in 2016 when we all used to sit together, discuss the issues of this country that led us to where we are today. I feel that they deserve prayers for all of us, that they have parted, they've gone, they've played their role. Please
would request, if permitted, that before we leave this gathering, that we pray for those people and others that I have not named who have been with us, and today they've gone and they sacrificed all their life and did everything they could to participate in their country. Mr. President, just to summarize, since I don't have enough time to deliberate on these issues, I think the first role that we need to do in every parliamentary democracy, looking at how we harmonize our issues, we must look at the Gambian context. Today, I believe that at the end of this program, the management of state resources should be a key pillar in the discussion of these things. How do we discuss the issue of the management, physical management of state resources, and how do we manage and discuss the issue of land management and land usage in the Gambia? We must accept that the issue of land is becoming a threatening national security issue that needs to be discussed by everybody, so that at the end of the day, the government of the Gambia would do what its people want them to do. The issue of land cannot be brushed aside whilst we are sitting here. The issue of religious coexistence must be an issue that we have to address. We cannot allow few people picking up microphones, insulting and abusing others because they have an opportunity to speak. We must copy what happened in other countries, where people are licensed to speak, where you cannot just pick up a microphone and preach and insult others. The religious coexistence that we have enjoyed in this country, we cannot allow few people to destroy it. I remind you, when Pope John Paul came to this country, when he looked back at the central mosque he saw when he was at the St. Augustine, he asked, what is that? They told him it was a church. He said, I have never seen a central church, such a religious country, opposite a grand mosque. And that he praised the Gambia for being very religious. We cannot destroy that. We need to keep that. Just to us up, we must also have a level playing field in the polity. We must discuss the electoral process. We must make sure that everybody participates in the process and feel that you have been fairly treated, and where we need to amend laws, we have to amend laws to make sure the system is free and fair for everybody. So at the end of the day, when results are declared, we are obliged to accept the results. And that is important for us. And the other one, the educational system, we have to look at it. We must have an educational system that can cater for our youth and for our young. We must address the issue of backway not by talking, by looking at the causes of it. We need to create people with knowledge and skills that they can have hope in our society and stay in their country to deliver. Or wherever we export their skills, it will yield us benefit, and not to see our people dying at sea. We must also, in our political debate, be responsible the way we talk, be responsible the way we attack, be responsible the way we send our views. You cannot use social media, be abusing and insulting people and thinking that you are doing politics. You are doing no good to your country, but doing harm to your country. Everybody has a view to express. Everybody has a view to express, but it's in the manner that you are expressing this view. And in doing so, we must protect our women. We must make sure our women are protected during our debates. We cannot afford to be abusing them, calling them all sorts of names. With whatever they do, it's something that they have done with men. We must open up the political space, not by word of mouth, by making sure that our women feel comfortable, not being intimidated and abused when they participate in politics. One again, just before I give you the floor, we must make sure security and stability is key in our governance system. We must make sure that we create peace in the country. When we went to Guinea-Conakry, just to give you an example, as soon as we landed in the country, I told the president it seems that something is wrong in this country. Because since we left the airport, I've seen nobody rising and supporting this president. And all of a sudden, we saw there was a coup. And what happened? The foreign minister told me, he's been telling the opposition, don't encourage instability. When instability comes, you all become victims. Today, all of them are in exile. All of those who are instigating instability are in exile. Let's keep our democracy. We thank our armies. We thank the Gambian army and the African armies. They've done well to liberate Africa. They are good in changing government, but they are very bad in managing countries. We want them to stay away from our politics and our governance. We want them to stay our way. Parliamentarians are responsible of distributing and allocating national resources. It is not the President of the Republic alone. And you cannot also be talking about high cost of goods and blame the government of the Gambia for that. We are not in control of the production prices overseas. When we order the product is not produced in the Gambia, President Barrow cannot dictate the cost of those goods. Few months ago, a ton of rice was $400 in the international market. Today is $500 plus. The long grain rice, which was $500 today, is $700. How can President Barrow determine the price of that rice when he is not producing the rice? The solution of this country, let's go back and produce for what we eat and grow what we eat. And stop blaming the government. Stop blaming this government for price rise. This is cheap politics. Let's avoid that. Let's understand where the truth lies, and we speak the truth and we work together. So that when we leave this hall, when we finish these discussions, we could come out with a document that would amend our laws, come out with a document where everybody will respect each other, and we move the interest and the advancement of the Gambia forward. Thank you.
Can we have your notes? Thank you, Honorable Ba. We now welcome Honorable Mama Kande from the GDC.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين. Good morning, colleagues, brothers and sisters. Good morning, Your Excellency. First of all, I want to thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, and all the organizing members of this national dialogue. This is a dream come true for me. My name is Honorable Mama Kande, Secretary General and Party Leader of the Gambia Democratic Congress. Your Excellency, I'm very proud and happy today. Look at these people here. Our brothers, our sisters. This is the Gambia. This is the Gambia that we want to see. This is the Gambia that we want our future leaders of this country to emulate from. I believe it is made very clear that when it is an issue of national interest, everyone here will have the time to contribute his or her quota towards national development. We are here one people. There can be no hatred between us here. There can be no war between us here. Gambia needs to set an example in Africa. The size of our country does not matter here. Democracy does not belong to any nation or individual. We all can have our democracy in a way that suits our people. And today, Mr. President, I'm very proud of you, and I thank you for taking this initiative and bringing Gambians together. It has been I have been calling for this for years, personally. None of us here want to see this country in fire. We all want to lead this country, but to lead a better Gambia. And I believe this is just the beginning, Mr. President. I have been talking about this, and I would not want you to stop here. Let this be a continuous process, and to make sure that the whole world will learn from us. We have seen what is happening in Africa. There are a variety of issues that need to be discussed. There are a lot of challenges in this country that need to be discussed. So I believe it is just not possible to have it within 3 or 5 minutes. But this is just the beginning. Let's create more room for ourselves as a nation, bring our ideas together to move this country forward. There are a lot of challenges in this country. A lot of challenges, so we will not have time to discuss all this. But I can say that this is the beginning, and the doors are open, and I believe it is not going to stop here. I even went to a level to propose to you, Mr. President, that on your Meet the People store, it's a constitutional mandate, it's a requirement. Invite all political party leaders. It is not a political tour. Invite all political party leaders. Let us be there together, and the whole world will see that we are one people. In this way, we will do away with the politics of hatred, politics of tribalism, politics of religion. The moderator have said it here, that we are losing what the Gambia is known for, was the peace and stability and the smiling coast of West Africa. Why are we losing that? Why is it that no Gambian is safe at the moment? People are killed left, right, and center. This is not our culture. I believe all of us together we can make a change for better Gambia. We have to protect our women, our children, and our sovereignty as a nation. So, on this note, I don't want to take your time. I hope that there will be a time created for all of us where we can bring in more ideas, put our hands on deck together to move this country forward. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kande. Now we welcome Honorable Henry Gomez from GPDP.
Your Excellency, Cabinet Ministers, leaders of various political parties, delegates from various parties, distinguished invited guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, Mangla Gerem de la Sant. Bés bu mel ni bés bi waroon naa gaaw a am. boo leen gisee ma jóg di wax ci olof nañ leen sóoraale ñi nekk suñ gannaaw bési tey jii bés la foo gis tey safara am ci dëkk ñun political leaders yi ñoo koy taal bon nag nañ leen ñu sóoraale ne amuñ fenn réew mi lañ am nañ leen ñuy ñeme pour toog pour waxtaan ñaaka déggoo amul ñaaka waxtaan moo dee am te fu ñaaka waxtaan amee rek musiba dina am bon yaakaar naa ne Afrika dafa jooy ba sonna fi mu nekk buñ leen amalante wut yërmande dëkk bii du dem kanam ndaxte tey nguur benn nit mënu koo yóbbu ñun ñoo mun a yóbbu suñ réew lu tax yàlla deful loxo bi mu am benn baaraam rek waaye daf si def juróomi baaraam ndaxte benn baaraam bi du mun dara moom kenn ñaar boo ko boolee moo daaxa benn bi ñetta mu gën a baax ñeneen ba juróom bon suñu réew mi nañ leen ñu jàppalante nañ leen ñu takka suñ digga yi Your Excellency boo xoolee dëkk bi bu baax tey reyante gi bari na si dëkk bi ñu ngi mel ni ñun xamanteetuñ su may mbokk kañ la Gambie la dem ba ñuy war a ragal am na jamono bunti kër yi dañoo ubbeeku ba bor set tey mënatuloo xàmmee kanay kan bu loolu amee ñu war a toog waxtaan ku ci nekkaa ngee daw responsibility li ñoo wax mooy président Adama Barrow ak nguuram ñan ñoo fal président Adama Barrow kañ la Gambia lëndëm ba xàmmee wante tuñ ba moo miiti ñun ñëpp la woon de te ñun ñëpp a takkoon suñ digga yi pour yóbbu Gambia si kanam bon nañ leen ñu delloo siwaat suñ xel ci gannaaw nañ leen ñu ubbi suñ bët ñu bàyyalante xel suñu réew mi nañ leen ko jàpp ak ñaari loxo te añaan ci suñu alal la ñoo ko moom gan yaa ngee dugga ci suñu réew mi kenn mënatut a xam kanay kan musiba gaa ngi bari bu njëkk dañoo am séedoo jamono ji tey ku am renka ko ci sa faar yi doo xalaat keneen te li yóbbu loolu rek mooy nañ leen ñu bokk ñu waxtaan Your Excellency njaboot gi yàlla moom tey yow la yàlla jox réew mi mu neex la mu naxari la foo jaar di nga yaate oyof te am yërmande waaye nag yërmande li dafa am fu mu am Your Excellency réew mi nga ko dénkee dafa am yërmande fu moo am boo ci buggee ëpp yërmande di nga fel sa responsibility te itam Gambian si ñun ñëpp dañ am responsibility mooy let us be our brothers and sisters keeper réew mi li fay dox tey du yoon du dëgg nañ leen ñu yërëmante bagaas yi seer na tey ko ci gis boo ko joxee place mu ngee ne kii suma raka la kii suma mag la ñoom lay jox place bi duñ ko jox ñi ko yoloo réew mi ku ci nekk dañ ci war a gis sa boppa ndaxte ñun ñëpp Gambien lañ nañ leen ñu bàyyi kii suma mag la kii suma xarit la te it ku def lu bon nañ ko yóbbu ci yoon aate ko ci dëgga bu leen jël dëgga gi di ko dëggaat barka démb rek Mariama Kunda I am a living witness to it am nag moto boo xam ne dafa génn ci tali gi ni moo dawee mu tampon waa ji kooku dafa dee ci saasi bi mu dee maa ngi taxaw di xool de nit ñi fa taxaw li ñu wax driver bi mooy du yow yaa ko rey jëlal liw bi dugal ci sa moto yóbbu ko lopitaan kooku def li ko gaañi wax de biñ paree ku ci nekk xool sa morom ne ah kan moo jël nomba driver bi ndax am ngeen nomba moto bi yes driver boobu mun naa jël liw bi dem ba ci mbedd mi teg ko fa mbaate mu dem ba ci lopitaan bi ne maa ngi tudda Moodu fekka Ibrahima la tudda soo foofu police case amu fa bon ban dëkk la ñoo oote ne suñ dëkk la su may mbokk lii du affaire yi politique te politics du affaire yi diine te du affaire yi tarixa nañ leen ñu jàppalante li ñu am tey kenn du ko yóbbu suba mbuba bu mu jël bi amul poos kenn du yóbbu dara bon liñ fi am mooy réew mi nañ leen liggéey réew mi suñ xale yaa ngee xool suñ xale yaa ngee jàngee ci ñun ni ñoo lalee suñ lali moom lañ faa tëddee de bon réew mi kenn duñu ko béyal nañ leen béy suñ waar gërëm naa leen sant naa leen Your Excellency maa ngi lay ñaanal fan ak wér li nga def tey ñii la njiit di war a doxalee réew bon yal na la yàlla jàppale yal na yàlla jàppali Gambia jërëjëf.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Henry Gomez, passionate as usual. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have Mr. Rafid Diab from Citizens Alliance.
Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings to all of you seated. Greetings to the President. And we are praising him for being able to come up with this initiative, because we have to understand that in politics, one should not be emotional in the way you react. It's always important to always put country first. I'm actually here representing Dr. Ismail Assise, who couldn't make it because he's not in the country at the moment. But nevertheless, I'm the chairman of the party, and I think I can speak on his behalf. First and foremost, I would like to praise this initiative that has been launched. But we all know one of the problems we have in Gambia is called implementation. And I was very happy to hear from John seated next to me that the whole point is to implement whatever is decided. And I'm hoping that that can be achieved, because in every institution we have in this country, when you look at the books, it's well written, well good, it's very good, but to implement it is always a problem. So that's very key in whatever we are deciding here. We must also focus on working together. I'm very critical when it comes to the government in doing things you have and I think it's my right. It's important to criticize, you be measured, because man tay suma criticize a president because of mom dama ko am personally or whatever. It's because mom moy president. One time dama wara make sure ne suma ko criticize bes mo ko gisé tam duma xol ci souf, because duma jaar fu ñaaw o wal lo xamné is personal. The only reason I criticize is because dafa def lo xamné man anduma ci. So I think lolu suñ ko bolé ci ni ñoo yo politique dina baax trop, because at the end of the day ñun ñu fi tok yépp political party lu baax lañ bëggal dëkk bi, waaye xëy na mi bi man yoon bu ma bëgg jaar pour implement ko dafa uté ak keneen. For example, man tay suma ñëw Banjul suma né mën na ñëw bé Bon Road ma jaar right ma wër ñëw State House, suma né tam mën na ñëw bé Gambie High ma ñëw State House. So ñun ñëpp luñ bëgg développer dëkk bi dafa am yoon yuñ bëgg jaar, yoon yooyu ñoo nekk différence, waaye nekkul ne tam dañ war a nekk enemies. So maa ngay oo ñëpp pour loolu noonu ñu séntu ko suñoo def dara. Secondly, I think with the advent of social media dafa gën a tax ba nga xam ne suñ political discourse
dafa bari too much of hatred and division. So ñun political parties leaders especially dañu war a door di control suñ members yi ñu make sure ne suñoo criticize or suñoo wax dara nañ ko def yara teggit maa ngay ooj tam jigéen yi soo xoolee forum ni ñu toogee fii ñun ñëpp benn jigéen rek laa gis kuy represent parti fii bépp leader bu fi toog depuis indépendance ba léegi jigéen ñoo la votal because jigéen ñaa fi ubba te soo demee si côté bi jigéen ñaa da gën a participer si rally yi ak yooyu noonu maa ngay ooj jigéen ñu gën a taga seen digga ñu bokk si political process bi because soo leen ko defut de kenn du leen ko defal so maa ngi leen a ooj yéen bu baax ngeen bokk si political process bi pour ñu mun a dem kanam si dëkk bi also maa ngi ñaan pour suñ constitution bi it's very very important ñu jëm ko am balaa élection bu ñëw Mr. President toog na I think amoon na benn forum law forum mu amoon mu ngi promission den Gambia Bar Association président bi Salou Tall ne dinañ try am constitution balaa booba so maa ngay oj because loolu su amutee rek difficultés yu bari dina am si political parties because fii political party fi toog xam nañ problème bi mooy affaire yi funding ak yooyu noonu moo de tax political parties yu bari fii day another active so waaye suñ change constitution bi def 50+1 bi ak yooyu noonu dina improve a lot si suñ participation in this political process so maa ngay oj tam constitution bi ñu def si la dara maa ngay tëj si affaire yi corruption whatever initiative bu ñoo toog fii ne moom la ñoo try pour implement suñ deful dara si corruption dara du mun a xam pour si dëkk bi nii so nañ try bu baax léegi am nañ anti corruption laws ñu try ñu seet naka lañ ko mun a taxawale implement ko su ko defee boobaa things dina improve because corruption fu mu am si dëkk du mus a dem kanam lu ñoo decide fii yëpp suñ deful dara si corruption dëkk bi du mun a dem kanam so maa ngi leen a ooj tam ñu seet loolu noonu and finally bugguma jël time lii foog naa ne in the history of Gambia mosuma ko gis because ñun all the time dañ dee gis opposition as enemy as loo xam ne du lu baax da ngaa dem yenn place ñu ne la ne ñun duñ dee against nguur because yàlla mu ne bul dee against nguur waaye dama believe ne diversion views dafa important ci dëkk and I urge us to continue this kenn nekku fi ennemi kenn dëkk bi moo tax dëkk bi moo ñor moo tax ñëw fi taxaw fii and nañ ko continuer and maa ngi gërëm président bi si lu mu comme this initiative ak nañ ko continuer jàmm salaam.
Thank you so much, Mr. Diab. We will now call on Honorable Bakari B. Dabo from the GFA.
Good. Hello. How are you? Very good. Mr. Moderator, you are the chairman yourself? Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, the President, Your Excellency, the Vice President, Cabinet Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I particularly acknowledge the presence of party leaders who I believe this occasion is staged to give them the floor, to give their perspectives. I salute all of you. As they say, all protocols duly observed. Your Excellency President Barrow,
when your kind letter of invitation reached us at Gambia for All, we felt honored. We therefore like to thank you. We are also quite pleased to find ourselves here today to attend or even participate in this meeting. We do hope and look forward to learning from it, if not to contribute, but to at least learn. For this, we thank you very much. We've noted also the way this dialogue process is conceived of in terms of how it is structured across planned, what do you call them, fora, sectoral fora, technical fora, to culminate in an open forum here, I think on the 16th. And we took note of the interesting subjects which have been selected for deliberation as themes. We really don't have much to say or to quarrel about that. We find the different themes quite pertinent, and we are quite hopeful that if justice is done to them, the outcome will be to the good of the country, and for that we commend you. I wouldn't even want to go into details of it, simply to observe that because of the urgency attached to it, we are particularly delighted that the management of public resources is listed as one of the topics that will be considered. Not to say the other topics are not important. In fact, as I said, the list is not necessarily exhaustive. But there is a particular urgency, in our opinion, Gambia for All, to reflect on the management of resources, not only as a democratic requirement, because equitable and effective management of resources goes to the heart of good governance, which is the heart of a democratic system. But secondly, ours is a situation of dire resource constraints amidst increasing needs of our people. So therefore, how we manage those resources is a very critical issue. And unfortunately, it's not just our observation at Gambia for All, but if you follow debates, if you also observe the mood in the country, there is a lot of concern and disquiet about a number of things going on that affect the management of resources, that even in some cases are tantamount to mismanagement of resources. I can cite, for instance, the issue of corruption, which has been talked about for a long, long time. And when we reflect now, over the 7 years since the change from a system which must not be forgiven for its record of mismanagement, but at least it's understandable in the sense that it was a dispensation which was by its very nature inefficient and corrupt. That's the dictatorship. Since 2016 change, the expectations have been that there will be a decisive and effective move away from the scourge of corruption. And yet, what we are seeing in terms of what has been revealed by inquiries that have been carried out, as well as regular periodic audits, is that if anything, corruption continues to fester, and therefore a major threat to effective and good management of our resources. Allied to it also is the question of commitment to ensuring accountability. Here we have to go again to the implementation of recommendations that arise from audits and other probes. Again, we are seeing with some concern, developments which really don't seem to satisfy us. There is the fact, for instance, that when we look at the long period of stewardship under the dictatorship, the only or the major attempt to ensure accountability for wrongdoings during the time, apart from, of course, the human rights abuses which the TRRC process seems to be wanting to address, has been just the Jane Commission, whose scope, in my opinion, is rather limited in that it focused on the person of Mr. Jame and his close associates. I think the term was close associates. But it's difficult to make us believe that the mismanagement that had gone on during those long 23 years was limited to only what Jame and his people did and his close associates did. I think a much thorough probe into what has happened going on would have been given a better signal to our commitment to ensure accountability. That apart, even the little outcome that we got from those inquiries in terms of their implementation and subsequent actions, which we seem to see as a reversal of what had been established against them, or in a way helping to cover up for impunity. These are worrying concerns. Closely associated again with the management or mismanagement of resources is the issue of waste in the government system. The state is proving extremely difficult and onerous for an economy like ours. I think this has to be looked at. It has to be looked at very seriously. The way government resources are budgeted don't give the governed, those who are not in the government, a fair chance to bargain. We have to take what has been decided for us by the governors, the executive and the legislature. But if we had given a chance, I think we would have said, no, you are charging us too much for this. You people are charging we, the governed, too much for what you provide. I think that needs to be looked. There's another area which needs to be looked at carefully if we're going to improve on the resource management. Take, for instance, the civil service or the public services. Obviously, it's over bloated, it's top heavy, and unnecessary. Some of us have had experiences, at least, of what the tasks fall to some of the outfits we see. Take, for instance, our diplomatic missions. I now see the norm is for missions to be over-bloated with ambassadors, deputy ambassadors, and so many, which are really not necessary at all. And these are very expensive, very expensive indents in the use of public resources. So waste is also another aspect which I think should be included in the consideration of the management of resources. Maybe I can cite a few more, but maybe I'll stop there. Just to give you an example, my reasoning behind saying that there is special urgency that should be attached to the consideration of the area of resource management to look out for possible improvements in that direction. That point having been made, the only other reflection I'd like to make is provoked by a thought that went through my mind as I listened. As I said, I did note the way this particular dialogue is structured, and I have no much quarrel with that. I also note that the topics listed for discussion are very pertinent. But I wondered really what really is going to be what's going to be the future, as it were. The moderator himself talked about guarding against turning this into a talk shop. And I also wonder whether, if it's not a talk shop, And the president did say he wants it to be institutionalized, which means that it's not going to be one-off, but it may not be one-off, it may be institutionalized, but what will be the substance? What will be the substance? Is it going to be another talk shop, as the moderator said, or some occasion for backslapping and scratch my back and I scratch your back kind of session? Or is it going to be meaningful input into the improvement of the governance of the country? I think really that we have to give a lot of attention to that. For instance, for one thing, it's important that we assign to this process matters that don't necessarily bring about stepping on each other's feet, on each other's shoes. There is a government in place which has got the mandate to run and has, of course, got to decide on direction of policy. But I think we can agree on issues that touch on basic values that we subscribe to as a nation. Values such as democratic life or democratic system of government, values such as oneness of our nation, values such as equitable distribution of resources that we've just been talking about. And whenever those issues appear to be threatened by happenings or absence of happenings, then I think it's necessary to think of an appropriate forum for consulting and getting alternative views, if possible, with a view to building consensus. It's important that we go for a style of government which makes consensus building an essential feature, if not a cornerstone, of our governance system. This is really my reflection that I want to contribute to the idea. Not so much about the present session that we are convening, but the feature of this as a style or as a feature of governance in the country. I think dialogue is important. It ensures inclusivity. It also goes to, as I say, help in building consensus, which is necessary in a small country like ours. I think with those few remarks, I want to take leave and thank you once again for Mr. President for taking the initiative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. As we said earlier, as a matter of fact, all the different themes are being led and facilitated by members of civil society and other stakeholders, and not necessarily the government. So the facilitation for discussions are going to be led by these groups, and the resolutions would be spelled out, and we would all collectively make sure that we participate in the implementation. Now we invite Mr. Alaji M. Barrow from GAP. I would want to continue to ask that we please move with the time so that everyone has an opportunity to speak. Mr. Barrow from GAP.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Your Excellency, political party leaders, ministers, ladies and gentlemen, and the media, and any other protocol duly and respectively observed. I would want to take this opportunity once again to thank profusely His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, President Adama Barrow, for according us this opportunity once again to have a consultative forum of political party leaders, to ensuring that we have a consolidating approaches. One of the issues that the Gambia Action Party want to look at, especially in the governance architecture, will cover the laws of this country, the National Assembly and its oversight functions of the executive. I'm speaking on behalf of my party leader, Honorable Musa Hussein Uyali Bachili, who is presently out of country. And then, as the deputy party leader, I'm here to ensure the message of the Gambia Action Party also filtered. We have problems with the laws, and we have to make these laws right, especially the National Assembly, its oversight functions they have with the executive, where we will have laws passed and National Assembly members will sit in the National Assembly without wearing political hats. This will ensure that the national interests will cover some of these laws that we're talking about. And the other thing is the hate speech. And the hate speech will also look at the role of the Independent Electoral Commission to ensuring that political parties are well regulated in a manner whereas the issue of hate speech will be set aside. Because if we want to build a peace infrastructure, these are some of the areas we want to look at, to ensuring that political parties come forward to exclude themselves from making hate speeches. The other point I looked at is the general reforms. And these reforms are key. One of them is the SSR. The SSR is very important that the Gambian government takes the lead and ensure that these reforms are made. And the other point I want to look at is the implementation of the TRRC recommendations. Yes, of course. I could remember where a convergence was held. Political party leaders, our executive are also invited to ensure the recommendations are launched through the collaboration with the Ministry of Justice and the victims that we are also affected, and we ensure that the process should be done and dusted. The other thing I want to look at is our foreign policy. We need to have a very vibrant foreign policy, whereas the ambassadors we have outside there, government is expending lots of resources on some of these embassies. And if at all we want to talk about resource mobilization or resource management, we'll ensure that we cut some of these expenditures to suit our local context. I want to look at the building a peace infrastructure. In building a peace infrastructure, it's not an easy job. And I will want to recommend here that the President will focus on strengthening the capacity of the Inter-Party Committee. Because the Inter-Party Committee is one of these structures, is one of these pillars that will promote a peace infrastructure. And I could remember, if at all we envisage some of the mandate of the Inter-Party Committee, we will ensure that we have contemporary arrangements like this, whereas if not quarterly, but a national dialogue where it will include political parties will come every 6 months, so that we can talk about things of national concerns. And the capacity of the IPC, which is also key, will come and play a greater role in building the peace infrastructure that we want. I could remember the Gambia holds third before in the African Peace Countries Index, and now we are losing it to position 5, where Ghana, Namibia, and other countries are now taking over. And these are indicators that have shown clearly that the Gambia is losing this. And for us to go back to that position, or even go before that position, I think we have a lot to do in ensuring that we build a peace infrastructure in this country. The other thing I want to look at is the maritime education. Maritime education is key, because as we see, it's part of agriculture, and then secondly, youth in this country are also depending on fish catching and other things that has to do with marine. So if at all we have a maritime education fit for purpose, where there could be policies or a map layout for youth to benefit from such a kind of capacity to ensure that education that to ensure that maritime can be utilized to its potential. Another thing is smart agriculture. The manner in which we've seen agriculture being practiced in this country has been here for a long time. And I think we have to shift from where we used to and then involve ourselves into smart agriculture. This will entail government can come in to play a role to create state farms. And these state farms will be there to ensure that we grow what we eat and eat what we grow. In subsistence farming is a big challenge, where families will only farm for something that we'll eat at home, but we can never use or utilize it to export or do other things that will bring on income. So for us to move to that pedestal, we actually need to ensure that we involve ourselves into smart agriculture and then eat what we grow and grow what we eat. And the last but not least is the utilization of AI, artificial intelligence. These are countries in the world that have been maximizing the potential of AI in different sectors of development, being it agriculture, being it health in particular, where artificial intelligence has been used, and we've seen those countries how they've been doing it, and they've moved far way better than where they are today. And last but not least is I'm pleading on the government of the Gambia to ensure that the state resources should be equitably distributed to Gambians, so that nobody will see himself or herself out of the box, but make sure everybody benefits from what we earn as a state. And if this happens, I think we can consolidate a lot, not only the governance architecture, not only democracy, but we can consolidate the overall socio-economic development. I want to thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you, Mr. Barrow. We now invite Mr. Abdullahi Ibrahim Jame from the NUP. Mr. Jame.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, leaders of the various political parties that are here today. I stand on all existing protocols. You see, when you talk after veteran politicians, you either render wordless or you keep repeating what has already been said. I want to thank Your Excellency, to commend you for your courage in engaging oppositions in this dialogue today. It's not a mean feat. For me, it's a big achievement. So I want to thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. I want to vary a little in terms of my approach. I would like to offer two brief comments. One is perception. When I say perception, I am referring to the party in government. How do you see the opposition? If you see the opposition as enemies, then the relationship will not start well. But if you see the opposition as opponents, then you're working towards building your own legacy. Because the only outfit that is allowed to criticize is the opposition. By nature, by design, they will harp on things that are not right or not so right. And you, as the sitting government, your desire is to serve your people. And your work agenda should be set by what's not right. So therefore, it's very important that you have a very healthy relationship, with the opposition. 2 is adherence of the rule of law. When we adhere to the laws that we create, because laws are created, to create a just society. If we don't apply them selectively, but we apply them uniformly, then there will be peace and there will be stability. Mr. President, I want you to understand that if you're elected president, you cease to be partisan. You don't belong to any party, you belong to the country. I remembered when Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore was first elected as Prime Minister, what he did was he invited his close associates and members of his family. What he said to them was, if any one of you is looking for special favors in this government, you're making a mistake. From now on, I belong to Singapore. So, Mr. President, when you have been elected as president, you belong to the Gambia. And everything that you do should be done in the interest of the Gambia and the citizens of this country. So everybody in this country belongs to you, and you belong to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jame. We now welcome Mr. Momodu Jallo from the ANRD.
Good morning, Mr. President, political party leaders, delegates of party representative, organizing committee, panelists and members here present, all standing protocol respectfully observed. It's with great honor on behalf of the ANRD as interim party leader to thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Mr. Adama Barrow, for his great insight and visionary leadership to host such a precedent and historic event to dialogue with political party leaders. After going through the invitation package and reading through the theme of the national dialogue and the various sub-thematic areas in preparation leading to the public forum to the national dialogue, I am of the strong belief that after this dialogue and consultative meeting, we will have an opportunity to share a consensus agreement for the development of the country with established framework mechanism to support the branches of government, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative. For us, the political leadership and head of government institutions and non-government organizations, local community leaders, religious and traditional leaders, the citizenry, and the private sector have a collective responsibility. My reflections on the theme, the Gambia government from 2017 to date, has a very strong, ambitious, and robust tools of governance. I took a time, an opportunity to review some of those tools and challenge our day-to-day reality living. In other words, to preserve our nation, we need to measure, evaluate, implement, and assess the impact of the government policies. That includes the National Development Plan, the Agricultural Natural Resources ANR Policy 2017 to 2026. The overall ANR policy objective is the maximization of poverty reduction and enhancement of food, income, and nutrition security through the optimal utilization of these resources of the sector, consistent with safeguarding the integrity of the environment. Agriculture makes a huge contribution to the GDP. How can we improve agriculture? It is the development of the irrigation and drainage system is key to unlock the agricultural potentials, thereby commercializing agriculture, establishing a market, storage, factory for fruits and vegetables. These will mitigate climate change, reduce irregular migration, and improve youth and women employment. The next on the review is the National Health Policy. That details government, the line Minister of Health's commitment. The policy is well written and entails key components such as health management information system, monitoring and evaluations, media governance framework, civil society organization rule, institutional framework for implementations, and resilience responsive health system. The per capita health expenditure is very low, $23.33 to $25.84 according to the National Health Account 2016-2017, respectively. A cost analysis of the basic healthcare package found 40%, about $4.5 billion gap for full implementation of the package in 2017. Considering that only 20% of funds are developed to basic health service, the gap is large. However, the gap is reduced out-of-pocket spending. The high out-of-pocket expenditure is 24.55 in 2017. The Gambia has three-tier system for the delivery of public health service, primary and secondary healthcare system, despite the higher priority given to the basic care service in the national strategy. Budgetary allocation is skewed towards tertiary healthcare provisions. Core activities through the central government, only 20% is allocated to basic health service, public expenditure review 2020. Therefore, the National Revolving Fund and the anticipated health insurance scheme will be instrumental to bridge the gap. In terms of national security policy, has a clear vision of the security interests and reform. The Gambia overreaching national interests lie in the prosperity and well-being of the peoples and the socio-economic transformation of the country. Such interest is contingent on national sovereignty and territorial integrity. Furthermore, a sovereign nation, the Gambia is committed to global peace, interdependency, security, stability, and peaceful resolutions of conflict. Similarly, the Gambia's peaceful existence, safeguarding the special relationship with its neighbors, is not only a foreign policy priority, but a national interest as well. Shared cultural value, geopolitical contingency and socio-economic and common cultural interests make relationship with its neighbor vital important. There is much to be done to review the government policy, to reshape our collective responsibility as people and government. I took time to review these three policies: security, health, and agriculture. Based on the time factor, I thank you all for your attention and look forward to a national dialogue with a collective resolution to consolidate our new Gambia and strengthen our democracy. Thank you all. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jallo. We now invite the leader of GMC, Honorable Mai Ahmed Fatih.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ ولده ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا الحمد لله الله أكبر. Your Excellency, the President, Mr. Adam Barrow, Your Excellency, the Vice President, Your Excellency, the former President, Madam Fatima Tambajang, former Vice President. Colleague, party leaders, cabinet ministers here present, members of the National Assembly present, security chiefs, Commissioner General, eminent guests, Assalamu alaikum. Fellow Gambians, on the 18th February 1965, Gambians in their thousands turned out to the Makati Square to witness the proceedings of a historic occasion. Predominant in the hearts of most Gambians were the emotions of happiness and amazement. Some were happy because Gambians have now assumed the mantle of leadership, while others were amazed at the subjugation of a mighty power to the persistent demands of a small and tiny African country for nationhood. Your Excellencies, at the time, the Gambia was deemed an improbable nation. We defied, the Gambia defied, all of the negative predictions that were made about the sustainability and the viability of our nation. With very limited resources and human resources, material and human resources, we were able to lift the Gambia out of difficult circumstances. And over a period of time, the Gambia became the peace headquarters of Africa, the improbable nation, creating significant impact. And not only that, after having found our feet out of the initial difficulties of building a new nation, with some challenges in terms of the economy, the Gambia established a successful economy. And our experience in the construction of that economy became a lesson for other countries in the Sahel. Our democracy became some of the most attractive export of the Gambia. It was not a perfect system, but it was one of the best in the continent. And then came 1994, when the Gambia embarked or alighted into a vehicle and then engaged a permanent reverse gear. That may be a matter of controversy. But then we had to fight our second war of independence in 2016 in order to launch what we call the New Gambia. So indeed, we do not have any major political crisis in this country today. There is no civil war, and there is no crisis really that would change the character of our governance system in any shape or form. The Gambia remains a peaceful democracy. So why the need for a dialogue? It is very important because as a nation democracy, democracy is the greatest political experiment in the history of mankind. We must continue to improve our democracy. So the dialogue seeks to consolidate our emerging democracy. And in that sense, Your Excellency, we feel very honored and privileged to be participating in this process. We are talking about preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing resources. You cannot preserve the nation if you do not safeguard the nation. You cannot safeguard the nation if you do not seek to preserve the nation. And all of these require effective management of our resources, effective public finance management of our resources. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Gambia has had one major problem throughout its history: the crisis of leadership. The crisis of leadership. The manner in which we conduct our politics has been responsible for overheating of the polity. The Gambia Moral Congress has at its core foundation the imperative to restore morality, the morality as a content of politics. When you practice politics with morality, then the issue of preserving the state will be the core of our governance system. When we practice without morality, then accountability and responsibility fly through the window. What we need is a soul searching as a nation. Responsibility becomes collective when each of us assumes what each of us ought to perform. Collective responsibility in preserving the nation requires strengthening our institutions. It requires effective service delivery by public and civil service. It requires effective enforcement of the rule of law, a strong, vibrant, independent judiciary. It requires a strong, vibrant private sector. None of these are possible if we do not have consensus citizens, if we do not take ownership of our country. It is the lack of ownership which is reflected through the lack of practice, through the lack of politics of morality that is responsible for a lot of the inefficiencies we experience everywhere else. And that is why the lack of ownership of our nation, that is why it becomes easy for those of us, for those in the civil service, to go to office late. I've worked with the President. His Excellency is always present at his desk before 8 o'clock and would not go home before 5 o'clock. Every single day. Unfortunately, this cannot be said of the civil service. And we must speak truth to each other. When we talk about incompetence, you are not talking about the President is not performing. because the president alone cannot do everything. The civil services, hundreds, a few thousands, constituted by Gambians. We go to office late. Our daily tasks are not effectively executed. You have a file that you need to work on. You have a file that should take a day, will end up taking a whole week. It is not the responsibility of the president that you refuse to execute your responsibility to work on a file that should take you an hour, will take a whole day. It is not the responsibility of the president alone that you go to office late and you are paid on time. And all these things are common phenomena in the civil service. It is not the responsibility of the president alone. When you need to perform an obligation, you demand incentive for that obligation to be performed. All these are matters of public nature that we must talk about. It is not the responsibility of the president that we scheme travels in order to earn per diems. It is not the responsibility of the president. I understand. I've calculated all times. I'm coming down now. I'll soon conclude. It is not the responsibility of the president that when there are tenders, those of us in the private sector would undermine the process by trying to corrupt members of the tender committee. So in terms of corruption, in terms of public finance management, in terms of public accountability, it is the whole nation that is culpable. When we talk about corruption, corruption demands a giver and a receiver. If you do not give, there will be no receiver. And we have laws. When we talk about security, everybody must be an ambassador of security. If you give to the traffic officer on the beat, on the road, because you do not have a driver's license or you do not have insurance, you are encouraging crime. And it is we, the citizens, who are guilty of this performance. So let us look at ourselves. Let us reflect as a nation. Let us put the blame where the blame is. As members of a partner party, like you said, and I agree with that, I will no longer use opposition. As members of partner parties, let us criticize constructively. And also, I urge the government on the other side to be more responsive. And this dialogue, Your Excellency, you have indicated your willingness to receive new ideas, to open up. But then we must always understand that the type of following we attract reflects the type of leader we have in political parties. If the leadership is conscientious and morally obligated, the followers will follow. So we must look at ourselves critically and observe that changes need to be effected internally within political parties, because political parties are government in waiting. If we intend to govern, we must reform the way we conduct our politics before we assume the mantle of leadership. The medium is small, but Your Excellency, I want to encourage this type of dialogue to continue. At the Gambia Moral Congress, we believe politics without morality will lead this country down the drain. Politics with morality will do away with dishonesty, will do away with corruption and stealing, will do away with cheating, and will do away with all other vices that beset this country. Honest politics is easy to perform than dishonest politics. It is easy to praise than insult. It is easy to embrace than disunite. Your Excellency, we are willing to work with you to put this country on a straight path, and we open our doors for partnership for all other political parties to move this country to the next trajectory. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I am slowly becoming a helpless pilot. So can you please put your hands together for all the political party leaders here? And put your hands together better for those that are yet to speak, so that they will also try to keep to the time. But thank you so much. We will now invite Mr. Ba S. Jabi from Ganu to give his perspective. We will soon get there. If something is worth doing, then it's worth doing well. So we would welcome Mr. Jabi, and then we'll be followed by Mr. Ibu K. Gay of APP. Mr. Jabi, please.
I have my document here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Your Excellency President Barrow, Vice President, Cabinet Ministers, Chief Justice, Service Chiefs, Regional Governors, Heads of Political Parties, Members of Political Parties, Diplomatic and Consular Corps, Development Partners, the United Nations System, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Mr. Ba S. Jabi. I am here representing Gambia Alliance for National Unity with my fellow executive members, Mr. Pa Sane and Madam Korka Jallo. As a party, we have always pledged our support to the National Development Plan that is being championed by the Barrow administration, and we feel honored to be accepted to be part of this very, very serious and important dialogue. For this, we are very grateful, Your Excellency, and we would like to continue to give our unalloyed support to you as the head of this country and to support you in your effort to move the Gambia to socio-economic heights. Now, turning to the theme of the gathering today, which is our collective responsibility of preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources. This theme, Your Excellency, resonates very well with the GANU Party's core mandate, which is to rally everyone towards the attainment of national unity in the pursuit of the common development goals of the Gambia. We know this aim is not just a mere desire, but practically achievable goals when we come together as one force to preserve and safeguard the state and secure our resources for now and for posterity. It is worth noting, Your Excellency, that to achieve these goals, we have to create a state of peace and stability. And the pursuit for peace and stability for rapid progress to occur, we must identify conflict drivers so that appropriate strategies can be put in motion to tackle them. This is the more reason why GANU Party has embarked on massive sensitization of its support bases to distance themselves at all times from insults, dangerous and hate speeches, for we have identified these as some of the biggest conflict drivers in any given democracy. We have also identified social exclusion as a conflict driver. And for that reason, we have always given a lot of attention to the inclusion of women, youth, and the disabled in our different political party structures and programs. These women, the youth, and the disabled always form part of our decision-making processes. Mr. President, while we acknowledge that wisdom is mostly associated with the elderly, we take into account the demographic dividend of the youth, and therefore we continuously design roles for them that will make them feel that they belong, that will make them feel that they belong to this country, and will also encourage them to stay in this country and work towards their self and individual actualizations. We also think that by including the youth, women, and the disabled in our structures, will prepare them to love and protect this country and then fight against all forces of destabilization. The GANU party is conscious of the fact that the struggle among various political parties and their supporters over the votes of the Gambian electorates have continued to generate fear and apprehensions among stakeholders, including the electorates. We are cognizant of the need to take proactive measures to prevent and/or mitigate hate speech, fake news, insults, and violence before, during, and after every election. And we want to state here that we will reaffirm our commitment, and we would like to call on others to do the same commitment to the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia, and to accord the honor that is due to the President as the head of state of the Republic of the Gambia, and also to see all opposition parties as partners in national development, and to respect all the laws of the Republic of the Gambia, and not to promote diversionary rhetoric, so that we can be united in purpose for social cohesion in our march to national development. Finally, Mr. President, we know for our nation to prosper, we must not allow our personal interests to override the common interests, so that collectively we can preserve our nation and safeguard the state and our livelihoods by securing our resources in peace and harmony. I thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you, Mr. Jabi. We now welcome Mr. Ibu Gay from the APP. Mr. Gay.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, Vice President, members of political parties present here. All protocols duly and respectfully observed. Dama bëgg a wax ci li ma nàmpa ci boobaa lay wax li ma mën a wax dëgg. li ma jàng mën naa am lu ma ci fàtte wala lu ma ci mokkalut. Mr. President, kontaan nañ APP bi nga ootee nañ ñëw waxtaan ku oote waxtaan na jàmm la bugga waaye ku uyu si waxtaan tam jàmm la bugga waxtaan dafa am lu ko jàmm dafa am lu ko lal mooy dëggu ki oote na dëggu ki uysu na dëggu lépp lu doomu aadama di def mu jëm ci réewam ne ci jiital dëggu am na ñaari event yu jàll wala ñaari consultations wala dialogue yu jàll benn ci boobu moo doon constitution bi ñaareel bi moo doon TRRC mu doon lu am solo ci Gambia bii tey ñëwaat di ñetteel kon am na solo ci Gambia waaye solo si li koy gën a taxawal mooy la xewoon ca yële kon lépp loo xam ne def nañ ko ca bële dina reflect ci bii lépp loo xam ne ci mujtali bii am na ci dina joxe dayoo ci li xewaat ci beneen jataayu waxtaan te waxtaan warta em ci benn réew dañ koy waxtaanee political parties yi fi ñëw yi fi nekk yépp amul kenn ku am interest wala njiiti réew bu am interest pour Gambia nekk ci coono nekk ci xuloo xiiroo ak ŋaayoo képp koo xam ne yaa ngi fi tey Gambie nekk ci jàmm mooy sa éene kon ki nekk ci nguur am na cër ci loolu thème bi ñu oote ni tey lu am solo la muy preserving the nation, safeguarding the state and securing our resources. réew lañu wax boo déggee réew nit ñi ak li fa nekk moo tax su fa dara nekkatul réew kon nit ñooñu ak li nekk ci réew moomu muy resources yi ak lépp lu fa mënta nekk nuñ koy téye am na solo kon loolu cëri ñépp la kon léegi lan mooy li nga xam ne mooy jëmmal loolu walla mooy dëgëral loolu mooy ni ñu waxtaan ci dëgg ak jub ak tiraanga political party yi fi nekk yépp ci jàmm lañu taxaw loolu lañ bëgg ku ci bëgg leneen boo jëlee réew mi coono la lay jural fekk fi jàmm kenn lu ci am lu doy ku fi toog loo liggéey jàmm bi du jeex te du doy saa yu keneen ñëwee am na lum def kon ki fi nekk na def jàmm liggéey jàmm kii ñëw xam ne jàmm laa fi fekk su ma ñëwee continuer ci jàmm réew mi li nga xam ne mooy resources ci réew mi li ci gën a am solo mooy nit ñi yenn façon ngi nit lañ am ci réew mi lu am solo la kon den jàng am na solo lan la ñuy jàng nañ identify ñu seet réew mi ci yan kenn moo ko taxawal yan kenn mooy la am doole pour dem ci kanam ñu jàng fexe jàng mi ñu indale ko ci wàllu googu ñu defar nit ñi ci kaw li réew mi soxla ñi jàng li réew mi soxla waaye nekkut jàng pour am xam-xam kese xam-xam muy defar li réew mu nekk am na ci xam-xam yoo xam ne moo ko ëppal njëriñ kon nañ fexe jàng ci njub doomu aadama jub moo am solo pour moom waaye li koy jubal lim xam daf ci am solo li nga xam ñaare mooy détermine li ngay jubee walla li ngay dëngee ni place ci réew mi nit ñi ko amee benn nga jubal benn nga ñàkkaa jubal jubal gi am na lu ko waral kon benn ci jubal li koy waral koom-koom bi ci la bokk mooy li ngay fayeeku mooy numération bi am na solo li ci des mooy ñàkkaa jub kon dafa mel ni kon luwaa bu tegu ci yoon moo koy jubanti kon nañ am luwaa yu tegu ci yoon ñu emale ku defut lu war ñu teg la ci yoon ànd nga man ànduloog man lépp loo xam ne nit def na ko war naa am lu ko ci fekk soo defee lu baax war ngaa am lu baax soo defee lu bon war ngaa am leneen lu baax kon waxtaan bi am na solo waaye li koy jëmmal mooy suñ fi jógee ko lépp loo xam ne teg nañ ko leen lañ ci implement tax njiiti réew mi oote na pour ñu waxtaan boobu ñan ñoo ko war a jiite lu am solo la ñi nga xam ne ñooy nekk ci diggante président bi walla réew mi ak nit ñi lu am solo loolu day jëmbal waxtaan timing bi ñaata waxtu walla time biñ allocate political party walla stakeholders yi ñu am time devote seen time xelaat ci lii xelli ci indi ci liñ xam teg ko ci taabul bi am na solo kon timing bi dafa important kon nañ fexe kenn ku nekk ñu joxante cër xam ne réew mi ñoo ko bokk ñun ñëpp dem kanami réew mi moo ñu tax a jokk réew wax naa fi ne doomu réew jàng xam-xam moo koy yóbbu ci kanam waaye ak wét gu yaram waaye nañ seet léegi suñ njàng mi ak suñ wàllu wét gu yaram gi yan téq-téq moo ci nekk ñu fexe defar yooyu dina am solo kon ci gàttal daal ñun EPP pare nañ pour liggéey képp koo xam ne yóbbu Gambie ci kanam moo la tax a jóg ñu ngi gërëm ñëpp di sant ñëpp jërë ngeen jëf.
Thank you, Mr. Gay. We will now invite Honorable Halifa Saleh from PDOIS to give his perspective. Honorable Saleh.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the President, Your Excellency, the Vice President, former Vice President, all very important sovereign citizens here present. It is a presumption that states' stability, national stability, rest on collective responsibility. And without the exercise of that collective responsibility, the security of national resources would not be ensured and development would be the casualty. The presumption has become a truism because of the presence of all these very important personalities here. But that collective responsibility must be contextualized. It is the role of a government to serve the people. It is the role of the opposition to aim to serve the people. And that opposition may be different from the government in form or content. So there is nothing wrong in having an opposition. They have different roles. But essentially the discourse here is not to transform a dialogue into a partisan mechanism for discourse with the people. So if this discourse is to be properly situated, we must all put partisan hats aside and look at the nation and deal with issues in such a way that the sitting government or any other government will deem those issues to be pertinent to the development of our country and the stability of the state. In that regard, we must bear in mind that stability of nations, stability of the state, use of resources must rest on 4 pillars. The first pillar is culture. Not our general culture, but the national culture. We have to develop, we have to have an educational system. There must be institutions of socialization. We must train the people who are to serve as service deliverers, the nurses, the teachers, the technicians of all sectors of society. And if we look at our civil service, these are the people who will constitute that service sector. We must train them. We must nurture them. We must nurture sovereign citizens so that we become one, independent of our sex, independent of our religion, independent of our ethno-linguistic groups. We must become Gambians. But to do that, we must train them. That is why the educational system must be interrogated Are we really training sovereign Gambians? Are we really nurturing sovereign Gambians who love country and people? That is the trajectory. And those people are the people who would be the builders of the nation that we hope to develop. Number two, it is essential to have that social pillar. Honorable members here, Your Excellency the President, we all know that the issue of life expectancy is important. Look at the number of people who are passing away. How do we increase the longevity of their lives? We look at child mortality, maternal mortality, and it is important to improve the quality of our data because many people in our society have this privacy and respect for the dead that many will bury without informing the state. So how can we ensure that everybody who passes away would be recorded so that we have really improved data and know the causes of death so that we'll know how to really prevent many of the deaths. That is important. The issue of poverty. If we say half the population are living in abject, how do we address those issues? That is important. But we must have the data and then look for ways and means of addressing the issues of poverty. The next element is the economy. That economic foundation, all of us must bear in mind that there are imbalances between imports and exports, imbalances between revenue and expenditure. We must take note of this. What is responsible for that? We look at remittances, they are in fact more than even our earnings from imports. So we must look at all this, and we must look at all these correlations in order to find out why are we not able to build an economy which will move away merely from taxation in rendering services to be able to build a productive base to be able to address all the concerns. These are issues, national issues we should address. Not only that it is important for us to bear in mind that the social issues are very significant, but we must move to the political issue, my last consideration, because that is the state that we have to conserve. And we all know that overstay in office, unconstitutional takeover of office, have also been a disease in our sub-region and causing a menace. So we should sit down and look at these two issues: unconstitutional overstay in office, unconstitutional assumption of office. How do we save the Gambia from such a reality? How can we debate on our constitution, which we should now put to the fore, because it helps us to build a polity that we own? And we can all discuss this in order to shape a future that we own. So my take here is that this is the beginning of a very important exercise, the beginning of a conversation among a people to determine the destiny of a country that we own. Inclusiveness is necessary at this stage. And inviting all of us here is starting that process of a national conversation to determine whether you are in office or outside of office, what is your role in helping to build a stable state, a stable country, the harnessing of resources in order for all of us to benefit. I don't know how much time I have, but I would like to put this across, that we are talking about management of resources. But the real issue is generation of resources and allocation of resources. In my home, every morning, women will come from all over the Combos and descend on my street. And they are selling without urinals, without water, under the hot sun. Every single day, I cannot even get out of my camper. So what is the relation between central and local government? Is the structure that we have in resource allocation really the appropriate one? How do we ensure a balanced and proportional allocation of the resources of the land? Don't we need to change our budgeting system so that whatever is at the local level will be budgeted for at the national level, and we allocate resources on that basis? Could we continue to maintain this type of local government structure? Is it sustainable? These are issues we need to look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Salah. We now will invite Mr. Abubakar N.A. Kinte from the NCP.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic, President Barrow, Excellencies here present, the Vice President, former Vice President, and all members of the diplomatic corps, fellow party leaders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my dear colleagues from the NCP, these are the two people I came with. Our Administrative Secretary, Mr. Lamin Daw, and our National Women President, the wife of our former founding father of the National Convention Party, Aja Fatu Bangura Diba. She is the wife of the late Sheriff Mustafa Diba, who is tirelessly with us at any time and every time, anywhere we call her. All other protocols duly and respectfully observed. I say good afternoon to you all. It gives us at the NCP great pleasure and honor to be here today at this occasion of the National Conference on the subject, our collective responsibility in preserving the nation, safeguarding the state, and securing our resources. Your Excellency, the President, we are very much pleased and honored to participate in this dialogue of political parties initiated by you. And we say thank you very much, Mr. President, for calling such a gathering. In the same venue, I would like to thank all political parties participating in this important national call. We must commend the efforts for organizing this dialogue that we believe will be about mutual understanding and trust among us as stakeholders in the national development process. Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Moderator, as stakeholders, we all have the objective of moving this country from a least developed country to a level that would be envied by everyone. Therefore, our objectives are the same. What may differ may be our approaches. Therefore, the theme of this dialogue is our collective responsibility to ensure that we all nurture our new democracy to grow and acknowledge and to recognize to be recognized by our value partners around the globe. Maintaining democracy, rule of law, and respect for international law is our greatest strength. Every Gambian has the responsibility in fulfilling these obligations. We have understand that there can never be any meaningful development without peace, security, stability, and sustainability. We have jealously guarded the peace and stability we are known for. I therefore urge every Gambian to give priority to national development by providing support and guidance to the government for long-term development of our motherland. I understand the government has just launched the National Development Plan, YIRWA, few days ago, that mapped the way greater socio-economic development and good governance, democracy, leading to peace and security of the Gambia. Mr. Chair, it's once again our collective responsibility to ensure that all relevant stakeholders take part in the effective implementation of the NDP. Let us stand together for national development and better nation of our national resources. I would put in few points that we have to look into. That is the youth and the women. If you come to any country, or let me just say the Gambia, we have 68.9% of our population who are all youths. And if you single it out, 57% of the Gambian population are women. They need your kind assistance, Mr. President, as you have always been there for them. And we always thank you for that. We at the NCP, as alliance partners, also promise that we will work hand in glove with you in whatever national development plan you put. All your agendas will be high on our tables. And I thank you all. Thank you very much. Okay. I missed the venue.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Kinte. We have only 2 more to go, as per those that volunteered to give their statements. We will now invite Ibrahima Tabora Mane of PAP to give his own statement.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Good afternoon to Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia. Good afternoon to the Vice President, Cabinet Ministers here in present. Good afternoon to my fellow party members, the party leaders, and the representatives as well. Good afternoon to the medias. All protocols duly and respectfully observed. I beg to stay away from protocol, and I will communicate in our local dialects, preferably between Olof and Mandinka, if you may. Mr. President, ani mol mini bebe jang ka fale kon kontanta bakele ñimu kulati mi yalon ko akumaya tabake bari anyanta kala nun junale bari kamen fo rek atarrete ñaw ñam bayrabe ke kare ka bete atale because mol idamal tema fo political party lemba fo mol mi yalon ko be sirin kakkaca idamal tema pour ila yirwa ani la ñatuta ani banko la ñatuta wo mu kulati mi yalon ko akumaya tabakele mosi min keron rek wala pour ka añiñande folo nak telbe min fola wolem ko ntembota People's Alliance Party PAP meta ñing advocate la for a very long time ka fa ko Gambian tol ñim bankol mi yalon ko banko ndinnam ntol na jang mu molet mi yanko mu believers let wala ko mo jamal be je lata alalambe dinol folo kan nka dinol min folo baake wala muslim and Christianity barin sidiam baake muslim o dinol karola an ngalon ko Christianity fana is almost the same nka min kumbo jang comme division moltema amanke an isuti Gambia jang at level to mi alon ko communal level ntol na dino e min fo andu wolem toñate momo lata ala la ya understand ki balon ko wolem ko ala ko alqur'ano tabe wolete de ala la ko kawla fo ko ayen dedale kam bonde musol bala nin kel anata ayenta ayenke sielti anim bankol womu ala la willati nte few fene no la je atelen deda ayen bonde musol nin kel bala ayenke bankolti ayenke sielti o bankol nak wolem ko ay dolke gambianolti ay dolke senegalelti ay dolke americanolti ay dolke chineseolti ay dolke tubabolti ay dolke mofingolti son tol nak ay ndagn Gambian dingol la Gambia la population ko less than 3 million Gambianol pour mol be ñanta mi understand la ay koyinna adiyata nye akuyata nye Gambia jang siel mimbe jang ibebe tar la jane forever as long as mol be balorim wo mol be fenno wota wo alale la ñinta wola ntol be mu kilingolti ay ndagn jangale woto ngalon kon te fenkeno la je ni Gambia la history jibe bring oral history starter waran recorded history bring starter e kamin fo wolem ko ñin siel bebe jane e ko exist peacefully woto tol dam mal nimman ko exist no sign peacefully manyana mo blem la ñantam fa wala blem hani ngamira alka kansala kelo moyleno birim fuuta ko ibe kabun kol tubin la force kon ye muna keno ya folo kelol bari ni mol ya moy fuuta mol kamera ko fuuta comme fulol lebeje oni ko kabu e kamera comme kabun kol lebeje ni tata fuuta wo time o siel be lebeje amanke fulol drontide siel be lebe jahasringe ni nata kabu fanan kansala ni nata kabu ibatar ko siel fanan be lebeje so sa barbiri wo kelo kete aje ko kelo nyin i lafta min na fan ka dino du nije bar kelo ta sambala no i labanta min kelo wala compromise e dialogue lek oto dialogue ko mata barin tolla mol minni folo nata aje ko wisdom soto barin tolla nyin jaman laba aje ko wisdom be talakan cause wisdom nyi muminti wala ko ye sana ya sambanani ya sambanan kabun kol nim fulol tema na mol ya develop ya sambanan nyomini jara tema ya sambanan nyomini foñun kol tema. So definitely, obviously, we told Nyanta make sure that we preserve. And pour we preserve, at a commune diamo dron. We come in for Wolenko, na banko, and in the banko la sort of thing, pour ka preserve. Mol Nyanta jelal ko stake interest soto wotole. Ni me la interest ye, ni me fango jeje, natra ownership ni mantra je. We come in for a diam kensa ronati, bari atano dlad. Banko kan fo banko dingol yaje ko itol, ila mansa kunda be tole represent kang pour ila interest. Fwaje ko economy nying itolle fana ye stake soto jele they are the main stakeholders fwaje ko security nyim fana itolle marta ifangol la security la nim mar responsible na economy la mar responsible na economy la ngaje ko na banko aje ko administration nying kaje ko mar represent bake abe ko leala bake la pour nga nyaato ta soto bari mol kamim be fo jang si diamul bi fo soma mol be gambe la problem lo nen corruption be siarim bake le wo nyanta adresse la nyame mol be alone is very simple unemployment be siarim bakele anyanta address la nyame fonga si honestly nga feyantol fonga nga jeko nga na banko kanule mba close la dame nga la ka fo ko time fekere because politician wala diamo ka siale nyanta min fola is too much bari nie Gambia ta bi yen tol bondi Gambia yen samba Switzerland yes we sol bondi Switzerland yes samba na Gambia within 5 years Gambia nol be bola Gambia jene kata Swiss khosulola mi ye wotina because of attitude lam fonga mfango kanu nga na banko kanu ngala nyola ngala na banku mola nga bala fasoro na banku dingole resources fanang anyanta allocate la nyame anyanta kelale for the benefit of Gambians because niaji be mobe seno la santo akamin soto minni ka soto ke baake fon sango kono in 6 months isa ko maybe 100,000 or 100,000 plus let's say 6 months kono $20,000 a month ila balu ka tra koleare moy tra do ko la mansakunda kono aka $20,000 soto a month janni ba fala 2-3 years ay $3 or $5 million is korda soto amin fonga tiling mi yenda handi rek ngalo ka foko time bantale bari is very simple ngalon ke ba do be ya ka fonye na yin sinda ka fonye ko moy la baloto mune da handi nin ko be diam la ko nya manjam fa tilingo dron nin la fa nga nyaato ta soto definitely ata kala diamo dronti ni manya na kala diamo dronti pour ka fo rek ndamal ka nyo nganya kat continue diamo la endlessly Africa nying is an African issue amanke Gambia da matide
so amul fi réew moomu baaxul waaye opposition dafa am lu mane ndax nga nekk opposition di yaaxa amul njëriñ nga nekk opposition di defal sa réew moo ëpp njëriñ kon te maa ngi ñaax suma mbokki Gambien ci ne Gambia dëkk bu ndaw la Gambia dëkku diina la Gambia dëkku l'islam la Gambia dëkku yërmande la nañ ubbi suñ xol yi ñu nekk benn ñu yërëmante ñu dimbalante ñu fonkante ñu wóoluwante réew mi mun a dox su loolu amul Gambia du mun a dem te réew mi nañ fexe ñu xeex ci corruption réew bu amee corruption réew moomu tamit du dox ndax korop nekk na lu nga xam ne moo yàqa réew kon te ñun Gambien yi comme ni ko président Adama Barrow defee nii soo gisee li nga xamante ne nii mu ngi yàqa sa réew fexeel leen yéen parti leader si ak Gambien si yëpp ñu dajee ñu seet naka dañoo solve problème boobu moo gën yow nga am lu la naxari nga ne xaaral tey ma dem fajee ko social media amul njëriñ ndax fii ku fi dem ci social media nga yàqa Gambia yow sa bopp nga yàqa bi ko Gambien nga ndax ay dikaat bi fee na la kon ne dañ war a jëf réew mi ñu bool ci gannaaw président bi ñu defar ko fii Adama Barrow nekkul foos président bi président am na muy Jawara dem na Yaya Jammeh nekk na fi dem na Adama Barrow daf fee jógee because fii ku fi yàlla teg rek danga fee tegu kon te ku fi yàlla teg dañ ko war a nangul li ko fi yàlla tegee yow tam su la fi yàlla tegee ñu nangul la ko réew mi def waaye soo fekkee Adama Barrow yow tam bàyyi sa xel ne soo toogee ñu xeex la fii loo fi lebee rek loolu lay laaj kon te nañ yërëmante maa ngi wax Mr. President ne ko mu gëstu jigéen ñi ndax réew mi jigéen ñi ñoo ko amee su réew mi doxee jigéen ñi la ak ndaw yi kon te Mr. President maa ngi lay ñaar nga fàttaleku nga xalaat bu baax nga dimbale jigéen ñi sonna nañ surtout jigéen ñi nga xamante ne ni ñi ngay jaay si bunti marché bi jigéen ñi fu mu nekk lu nekk la ñoo daj si bunti marché bi konte Mr. President loolu ñu ngi la koo dénka tey la yow la yàlla dénka si place bi yow yaa fi toog tey yaa nekk si place bi amuñ fenn fuñ mun a demee jooy suñ problème bu dul si yow konte suñ ñëwee jooy la suñ problème bugga nañ problème boobu noonu yow Mr. President nga def si jéego solfu ko ba gis na jigéeni Gambie yi am nañ jaama konte maa ngi gërëm suma mbokki jigéen yi yépp di gërëm yuut si di leen ñaax rek ne réew mi ñun ñëpp a ko bokka ñu moytu social media bi di ñaan yàlla musal ñi si suñ dëkkandoor yi nga xamante ne ni ñu ngi nekk fii Sénégal li leen dal yàlla musal si Gambien si konte maa ngi ñaan jàmm si Gambia di ñaanal jàmm Gambien si di leen wax na leen wax dëgg neex yàlla réew mi kenn mënu koo xar ñaar bennoo rek la ñoo mun a def réew mi dem suñ bennoo réew mi du dem jërë ngeen jëf wasalaam asalaamualeykum wa rahmatullah.
One of the things I like about Gambian women, it does not matter how many men they stand before, they always come out and shine forth. So put your hands together for Yama Sise. We will now receive Honorable Alaji S. Dabo from the UDP. That will be the last of the deliberations, and we will have a quick wrap-up by our rapporteur, and then we will do the closing remarks. After the closing remarks, we invite all political party leaders or representatives to have a photo session with the president outside there.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic, Mr. Adama Barrow, the Vice President of the Republic, the former vice presidents here present, the leaders of the political parties, and other participants from the respective political parties, the chairperson or chairman IEC and delegation, the media, all other invited guests, the cabinet ministers. I want to take this opportunity to commend the President for the initiation to have this national dialogue. Having taken that, personally, I feel very much honored to be given the task by my leader to represent the party in this very important task. It appears it's a replica, history in the making. In the 2016 coalition dialogue, I was honored the team's task by our UDP flag bearer, who is now the current sitting president, to represent him in that dialogue leading to the signing of the coalition agreement. When many thought that dialogue, the process was a futile exercise, I had the belief then it would be possible. Indeed, it was possible. If I've been honored to be participating in another important dialogue of that nature, I believe my personality and representation in that, and now in this, I am saying it is going to be possible. Honorable, Your Excellency, and the Vice President, this dialogue, as earlier on alluded by the moderator, people ask why now, and he asks why not now. Then I add, it's better late than never. The moderator rightly alluded, facing with the current realities, both national and sub-regional, there is a need for this dialogue. And really, that is the situation. If we should say, why now? It could not have a better time, come at a better time than now. We are aiming to have the Gambia that we can all yearn and live proudly as Gambians. This was the anticipation in 2016. We are still yearning and standing by that to see that dream we had in 2016 is realized. Your Excellency, to have peaceful country that key stockholders, the politicians, our religious leaders, of course, in general, the citizenry are very important. In this process, all efforts must be done to ensure all are represented. I understand today is the launching where we are reflecting on the team. And also we'll have another day where we'll have broad participation, about 500 members. I would say we should not limit to that. We should go beyond that. Let it be a form of national consultation. When we have the National Preparatory Committee, I would not know whether the institution that represents the political parties is part of this committee. If not, it can be included. Then we task this committee to do thorough national consultation, region by region. We should not limit to only the gathering that we'll have on the 16th. It should go beyond that, so that all voices and all concerns are heard. Your Excellency, our cultural norms and values, the Gambia, we are always promoted that we are among the best in terms of culture and values. Upholding this, that should be an utmost concern. Many a time, it is our young folks, and I believe the way things are going, we need to put our cultural norms and values to the knowledge of our young people. Your Excellency, if you go to our communities, usually we tend to get disputes here and there as a result of land management. We have in place what is called Land Commission. I'm not sure whether the Land Commission is functioning. If not, or if so, it is not as expected. If we want to do away with violence in our communities, the issue of the land, the policy around the land should be looked into. Your Excellency, a hungry man is an angry man. Nowadays, people are hungry. And people, if they are hungry, they'll be angry. Food self-sufficiency, how that can be addressed, should be an utmost responsibility and concern. It is not only about management, but also about generation. How do we maximize our production base? That is what we can look into when our people are hungry and they become angry, to silence them down. Your Excellency, Anti-Corruption Act is in place. We should have the political will and commitment in fighting against corruption. The Anti-Corruption Commission should be enforced and should not also come to be like the Land Commission. The sovereignty of the Gambia should not and must not be compromised. There must be discipline in our institutions, and as civil servants, we should adhere to disciplinary rules. We should be committed to our work. I welcome the creation of the new ministry. I was thinking that when it comes, that aspect of indiscipline in our civil society will be addressed. But I'm yet to see any meaningful move towards that. And finally, action speaks louder than voice. We are here, we launch for a commitment of what we call national dialogue to have peace and stability in this country. If we do this work, at the end we'll have reports, resolutions. More importantly, the implementation of the outcome of this engagement. Your Excellency, people will say, we have commissions, and the commission will have reports, but implementation of these reports are usually the problem. Will this the dialogue also will not follow the same pattern? Political tolerance above everything. You are the sitting president. Those who are unfortunate and their parties, they are the opposition. Our role is to serve as watchdogs. Criticize your programs, your policies. Whether you will see that to be constructive or otherwise, we may differ, but that's our role. Your position is not to be having any ill feeling against anyone, against such criticisms, but to defend your policies and your programs. Don't see any opposition as your enemy, but rather your opponents, but rather the same brothers and sisters. When I say this, I conclude. I did send a political message to my president. And I'm not sure whether he heard that message. If I've been given this opportunity, I want to recollect that message. If you are on state functions, take consideration what appears to be state functions, state issues are addressed. We leave aside the political issues. And I want to recollect that. I feel very troubled when I see my brother making very uncomfortable statements against my father, who is his father. I feel very comfortable. I feel very comfortable if I see my father criticizing and my brother defending his program. I feel very comfortable, but very uncomfortable if it should be the otherwise. I'm appealing the sonly and the fatherly relationship should exist for peaceful coexistence between the two leaderships. I thank you.
Thank you so much. This is the Gambia we all desire, that we can talk and move forward. Honorable Dabo, let me state that I made an omission. The dialogue are a series of dialogues. I mentioned 3, but there is a 4th dimension that after the Ramadan, because I learned that the Jolas and the other ones that I dare not mention for my own security, cannot handle the Ramadan. So after the Ramadan, we'll be doing a regional dialogue. Every region will be visited, and the outcomes of our discussions, we will take it there. So the whole nation will be on the same page. And that's the commitment of the government to do that. So it will be an ongoing process. And let me state again that it is our collective responsibility. Everyone in this room, everyone out there in the Gambia and in the diaspora has a role to play to make sure that collectively we reach our goals as a nation. Right now, we will now invite our rapporteur to just give us a quick summary, after which we would have the closing remarks, and then the political leadership would have a photo with the president. Mr. President, sir, the National Preparatory Committee has asked also to have a photograph with you. So please, National Preparatory Committee members, as soon as the political leaders are ready, please be on standby to have a photograph with the president.
Thank you very much, Mr. John Charles. And good afternoon all, Mr. President, Vice President, representatives here. As it says, it's a summary, and that is what it is going to be, simply because the cross-cutting themes have been dealt with by the speakers, and what we are going to do is not particularly say what individual speakers said, but the thematic areas they dealt with that will feature in the bigger discussion that will come up on Wednesday and, of course, Friday following. But I just want to highlight a few things which you will see fostering the key the message we should leave here with must float around fostering an open and inclusive dialogue with the hope to create an environment where diverse political perspectives flourish in a responsible manner. There are key words there. Participation, the political diverse, and of course, that it flourishes. Well, if you have a garden, people who have gardens at home, you know what you do with your watering can in the morning. The water you give to those plants is what you are asked to give here so that this environment can flourish, so that responsibility is taken on for the best outcomes. But of course, many people rush to cloak dialogue with a bent on speaking and talking. But the essence, really, for a successful appropriation of what was being said or spoken leans heavily on listening and hearing, because listening promotes understanding, and therefore responses become productive when we understand what we are saying, rather than just talking for the sake of talking. So we are going to use that as a leitmotif, the background to which we will approach our further discussions, and Mr. John Charles has told you, emphasized the 7 thematic groups, the 6, yes, to be facilitated, of course, with civil society being central to that decision, and then the 5 resolutions to be consolidated, upon which the dialogue, the discussion will now take place. And with the intention that all the things that have been covered here, even we even see it in the prayers that were offered here. The inclusivity. The Imam mentioned the Christian contact. And the prayers also talked about the oneness of Gambians. So you see, it's not only at the political level, it's also in the religious psyche that we should promote this dialogue. So here we are, and in the remarks of His Excellency, you will see how well it was taken that this sort of a discussion is absolutely necessary. So that the political parties have been brought together is a good sign of what will be guided to discuss on the next one is on Wednesday. It's on Wednesday. Then you will begin to hear all of what we've heard today in concrete group discussions when these thematic issues are being dealt with by close groups, so that whatever comes out of that will now go to the next session where those will be reviewed, so that we crystallize all the main issues that have come out of this discussion, so that we have a body of concepts that will serve to answer the questions we have come here to do. So it's a phenomenal partnership with government and civil service, and here we are with the government and the civil society, and here we are trying to consolidate that so we come out with a concrete understanding. We have heard political statements. Now let us all boil that down to people statements and people issues. I think that can safely summarize what we've heard here today. And when we go to the group work on Wednesday, then we will see how arguments are made in the individual topic areas, like women, like youth, like hunger, and so forth and so on. So this is kind of general, a testing ground for what will happen on Wednesday and beyond. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful summary. Now we will have remarks by Her Excellency, the former Vice President, Excellency Fatoumata Tambajang. And after that, our host, would give the final word, and we will take, the political leaders or the representatives here will have a photo op with the President, and then the members of the committee. Your Excellency.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa ta'ala wa barakatuhu. maa ngi nuyu His Excellency President Adama Barrow, President of the Republic of the Gambia. maa ngi nuyu His Excellency the Vice President, di nuyu IEC Chairman, di nuyu political leaders yi ñu fi nekk, di nuyu tamit suñu xarit yi nga xam ne di nuyu also cabinet ministers, honorable cabinet ministers. Tey nag ñëwuma woon pour wax ndax yaram bi dafa sutaatee, wante lu mel nii waru da bàyyi benn Gambien gannaaw, moo tax ma sacrifice ma ñëw. Xalaat bi His Excellency am xalaat bu rafet la, ñu ngi ko ci gërëm di ko ci santa, di ko ñaanal yàlla mi nga xam ne dugal na ko ci xolam mu saxal ko ci xolam. am na ku ko fi wax ne soo nekkee président, te loolu laa ko daan wax toujours bi ma nekkee office ak bi ma génnee, te di ko gërëm tamit ne bi ma génnee ba tey newut ne dafa tëj bunta bi, mu ngi ubbi bunta bi, képp loo xam ne soxla réew mi la su ma ko wooyee dina ma déglu, su ma laajee suma xalaat dinaa ko ci wax. démb bi ma jógee am na dégg naa ci social media ñuy wax ne His Excellency His Excellency President Adama Barrow daf ma yónni woon ñaari at ci gannaaw pour mu wax affaire dialogue, peace dialogue, te fekk yàlla xam na ne yónniwu ma. man peace laa juddu, peace laa xam, te peace laay liggéey, te defal naa ko ci réew yu bari, surtout suma liggéey suma réew. te réew mi dama bëgga structure bi nga xam ne moom lañ def, wax nañ ne dinañ ko institutionalize. maa ngi recommend ñu boole ci National Coalition 2016 bi nga xam ne moo indi fondation bi indi jàmm ak réew ak dal ci réew mi. bon nag as way of institutionalization, maa ngi recognize 2016 coalition 2016 doole ko si suñu président bi xam ne ñu ñoo ko taajoon, tànn ko mu doy ñu boot ko, ñu won ko réew mi tànn ko mu nekk President of the Republic of Gambia. recommendation boobu bëgg naa ngeen jël ko, képp loo leen a def na ngeen ci boole coalition 2016. su ma seetee round maa ngi gis honorable Halifa Sallah, honorable Ahmad Bah, His Excellency Adama Barrow, Henry Gomez ak ñi nga xam ne waaw honorable Mai Fati. maa ngi ñaan yàlla tamit ñi nga xam ne yàlla jël na leen mooy Omar Diallo, OJ Diallo ak ñoom Femi Peters ak kulluhun koo xam ne jël nañ ko ci politics ak ci liggéey réew mi. maa ngi ñaan yàlla mu may leen jannatul firdaws. ñun mi fi nekk yal nañu yàlla teg ci yooni siraatal mustaqima ñu buggante. gis nañ réew yi si sub-région bi tey foo laal rek ba si suñu mbokk yi fitnaan fa. ñu ngi ñaan yàlla fay fitna yi foofu, musal ñu ne ci fitna, nañ nekk benn. li ñoo wax nii yépp about political dialogue lii yaayi dialogue mooy peace, stability and security mooy yaay bi. so suñu jubluwaay suñu long term ultimate goal mooy ne naka la ñoo amee liggéey together ñu have peace, stability and security. suma wax mooy maa ngi recommandé toujours loolu lay waxtaan ak His Excellency the President, mooy His Excellency the President jéemal reform agenda bi nga xam ne National Coalition 2016 moom lañ la jox nga jël ko def ko sa nguur, jéemal nga reform enforce reformment si mooy constitutional reform Land Commission, National Reconciliation and Truth and Reconciliation, judiciary reform, civil service reform, security reform. Li ngeen fi wax yépp nañ ko tënk ci suñu waxtaan àllarba te maa ngi recommend instead of ñu wax ne committees yi nañu be headed by civil society nañ ci boole political leaders yi parce que political leaders they are very important. They are the critical ingredients of any progress. maa ngi ñaan yàlla nag ñu yàlla jàppale ñu nekk benn Halifa Sallah honorable Halifa Sallah wax na ko fii dialogue bi His Excellency Adama Barrow li mu wax mooy ni ñëpp nañ fàtte seen political affiliations ñu seet li nga xam ne moo ñu def ñu nekk benn nation nation ñu jël Gambia def ko first comme ni ko Omar di wax OJ Gambia is bigger than any one of us te soo gisee coalition 2016 succeed lii lañ amoon dañ bàyyi seen political differences yi moo tax ñu ñëw together ñu seet Gambia yàlla indi ñu changement te yàlla kat du wàcce wax ak ñun yàlla wax na ba pare nee na amul kenn koo xam ne di nga mën a demal sa boppa foog nga ànd ak nit ñi soo ñëwee fii yaa nit ñi la ñoo laa teeru soo ñibbi nit ñi ñoo laa gunge bon nag amul kenn koo xam ne dangay wax ne danga comme suma yaay ni mu koy waxee doxi nag xooram gisuloo nag suy dox ni mooy def nii lay def boppa bi suma boppa bon nag nañ nekk benn ñu bootu ci gannaaw His Excellency President Adama Barrow ñu def dialogue bi loo xam ne lu am njëriñ la yàlla mun ñoo wàccal barke sutura jàmmoo ak bennoo ñi jiitu depuis 2016 ñu ngi ñaan yàlla ak ñi leen toppa yëpp yal na leen yàlla may jannatul firdaws His Excellency Adama Barrow li ma koy ñaanal toujours nit ñi xamuñ dañoo wax ne man maa Adama Barrow la man nekkaluma Adama Barrow man suma réew laa nekkaluma benn political party ñëpp man réew mi laa lifin réew mi nag su fekkee ne His Excellency Adama Barrow moom lañ taaj man li alxuraan wax moom laay dundee moom laay jëfoo nee na ku ñu yàlla taaj dañ ko jàppale su sa waxtu jotee nga toog keneen jàppale la maa ngi ñaan yàlla nag di jégalu ci wax bi da wax neexut su ma fi waxee loo xam ne jubut ci man la loo xam ne jub na nag ci yàlla la léegi His Excellency Adama Barrow maa ngi laa ñaan mbootu bi dangay gën a yaatul mun naa laa dimbale ma ñëwal la mbootu yokkal la mbootu bi nga boot ñëpp xalaat ñëpp amal ñëpp yërmande boole ñëpp ci liggéey bi su boobaa rek wagon bi nga ubbi moto bi nga taaj ñëpp dinañ ci xej ñëpp dinañ ci gis seen boppa yal na yàlla def jàmm ci Gambia ak Sénégal ak réew yi ci des yëpp allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Before the President comes, I want us to observe a moment of silence for all our political leaders that have gone ahead of us. In honor of them, I would please ask all of us to rise to our feet and observe a moment's silence for all our political leaders. May their souls continue to rest in peace. Before you take your seats, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to invite His Excellency the President. But I want us to do something because I believe in giving honor to whom honor is due. If you know me as a leader in civil society, we criticize government when we have to, but we also work with government and appreciate the efforts of the leadership. What the President has done today is unique. What the President has done today, this country must not take for granted. African political leaders find it very difficult to sit with those that do not agree with them and listen to them, accept their criticism. So in honor of this and in appreciation of what His Excellency has done, please let's give a standing ovation to the President of the Republic, His Excellency Adama Barrow, and welcome him to the podium to give the final remarks. Your Excellency, sir.
John, thank you very much for those nice words. Your Excellency, the Vice President, party leaders here present, cabinet ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My final remarks will be a very short and a very simple one. It is an honor for me to receive all these political leaders today at the State House. And I think today we are making history. We are making history in the sense that I don't think in our records we have ever organized something like this, where you have government and opposition sitting together to dialogue. I have always been saying it. All the countries that have developed, they are all peaceful countries. Even at our level, the compounds that progress and develop, they are all peaceful. Communities, regions cannot develop without peace. And we cannot achieve peace in our country if we are not talking to each other. We must be talking to each other, and the best way talking to each other is to interface. And today, my team and the civil society and the people that have given the responsibility to coordinate this dialogue, I seize the opportunity to thank them for all the hard work. I thank them for being patriotic Gambians. Mr. Jones talked about criticism. We are always happy when we are criticized, because it always helps us in running this country. It can always help us when we are discussing about this country. It can always help us when we are drafting policies, how to make this Gambia a better country for all of us. And I think this dialogue have also given me another opportunity to meet my political colleagues, meet some of my friends that I missed so long. Abla Jame is among them. I think since after the 2021 election, I haven't seen him. So I think I will organize such a meeting again in a very short time so that it will give me an opportunity to meet some of my friends. You talked about a lot of things. Civic education, cost of living, land management, security, national unity, rule of law. These are all important as far as democracy is concerned. We are a young democracy. We are doing everything possible to build a strong foundation of democracy going forward. And we are open, our doors are open. My wife spoke just now, Fatmata Tambajang. We always talk. She's still having my number. So my doors are open. If you want us to discuss about this country, I am always available. I have no other work now. I was doing business, but now I'm not doing business. Now I'm running a country. That means I have to listen to the people and I have to open my door so that I will discuss with Gambians who have ideas and opinions for us to move this country forward. I listened to my brother, Alaji Dabo. Politics is a game. It's a game, but it's a game that is to move your community or your society forward. When we are criticizing also, let us have genuine criticism to the government. With that genuine criticism, it can make a huge difference for our people. On that note, I thank all of you. According to records, they say we have about 19 political parties. 19 political parties. I don't know whether the IEC chairman is here. He might be able to confirm that. But one thing is a takeaway in this. We are very happy that all politicals that we are invited, they are all here either through their party leaders or they are represented. So that means it's 100% response. Then this is positive for the Gambia. This is positive for our unity. This is positive, and this can make a big change as far as our political landscape is concerned. On that note, I seize the opportunity to thank all of you for coming. Be assured that all what you have said here is noted. Our technicians are here. It will be noted, and we will dialogue on it and see how best we can put some of your concerns into our policies and make sure that it will benefit the Gambian people, because we are all representing the Gambian people. I thank you.
So now we will ask the political party leaders or their representatives, those that are seated before the mics, to please move out. Sorry? Oh, okay. Sorry, before we disperse, we will take the national anthem. We will please ask everybody to remain seated. We are going to, or to stand for the national anthem. After that, we will usher the political party leaders for the photograph. Please, the police band, the national anthem. Just go this way for the photograph. Planning Preparatory Committee, can you come forward?